Oh.
Called Dutton Ranch. I don't know. I don't know shit about the fucking show. You guys could talk. You could sit here talking as much as you want about Yellowstone and make up half the things you're saying, and I'd be like, "Wow, still not gonna watch it." Like,
some guy in my town has one of those trucks, the Dutton Ranch. It says Yellowstone on it. I'm just like, you're that guy.
Nice. Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Midweek Geeks. We don't have a theme song yet. Hello.
Oh.
yes.
Sorry,
that was different.
Oh, Leo, you threw me off.
That.
I was waiting for 4 more minutes of beginning. What the fuck just happened?
Well, you know, since we're
share once.
Yeah. So just real quick, we are rebranding our Wednesday show. So as you know, the Dorkening has been growing, and we figure we're going to rebrand the Wednesday show, which we called the Dorkening originally, as the Midweek Geeks. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. And as always, yo.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, I was really expecting longer.
Sorry. Jar Jar.
Yep, still sharing. I'm right there with you. Hello, everybody. I'm almost done.
Powerful Brandon.
Hey, man, I really thought I was gonna be able to eat the rest of my ham sandwich during that fucking intro. You really fucked my shit up.
He was like,
hey, everyone. Welcome. This show is rebranding, but I'm still just powerful Brandon. Hey.
Do you want me to put you in the green room so you can finish?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll just crush it up and snort it throughout the show. You'll never even know.
Carrie, yeah, we'll figure out some t-shirts.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do Dal Merge did some awesome shirts. You probably haven't seen them.
Speaking about awesome shirts, look at this shit that fucking Jeremy's fucking sport right now. He's got Superman going.
Some great guy hooked me up with this. Powerful Brandon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's the one that comes with a fun 3D cellophane shape.
Yeah, that's the one that my wife there makes fun of me because I sit there staring at myself in the mirror with 3D glasses on. What are you doing? Leave me alone. I'm working.
Don't ask like you don't know.
I was just going to show, speaking of shirts, you can probably still get these on Amazon. I think I got the link in the show notes, but
you can still get them on Amazon. Yeah. I know because I just bought a couple of Dorkening shirts.
Oh, nice.
Amazon. Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that was me, Leo. I was like, I made 2 sales. It was me.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we got to get some more designs on there. He did a couple more designs. So
I want you to make a Dorkening design like this.
Superman.
Yeah.
Like, see the pink and blue gradient?
That like glows.
Oh yeah, exactly. I fucking want this shit.
Send me a picture of it.
It'll last longer. I'll send you a picture. Yeah, I bought this online several years ago from like T Public, not T Public, but like some kind of like, creator.
T-Public-esque.
Yeah, T Public-esque. And I also have a hooded sweatshirt with the same design. Thank God I bought the both of them when I did, because it just doesn't exist anymore. Like the product. Can't find it anywhere. Like I found this because I was looking for this shirt. This is like very first Roosevelt shirt I ever bought. And I happened across this as I was looking for like blue and pink neon gradient. This popped up. I bought both of them. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should get like a couple more of those t-shirts because they might fade over time. And gone. Like DC and Warner Brothers came down like the fucking hammer of Thor. And if you type in like retro neon gradient Superman, stuff like that, nope, Nothing. I've gone to
Get a
page
cease
like
and desist.
32 on Google. It doesn't exist anymore, guys. But
So-
yeah,
so-
I'll send you a photo of it.
Yeah. So what do you think the design should be like?
For what, the midweek geeks?
Yeah, well, I mean, to replicate that.
Oh, the Dorkening.
Probably a D.
Okay. A
I
D?
do the Dorkening, man. Straight up,
Okay.
across, but have it be that cool fucking outside gradient haze.
Okay. Yeah, we might be able to do that.
I fucking hope so.
Okay.
I'll really go with
Come
this
to
shirt.
If I can't do it, then we'll see if Dalmers can do it.
Yeah. Whatever's clever, just get me the fucking shirt.
Everybody
Yeah.
take a sip of coffee.
I know. Bro Pro says that would be awesome, powerful Brandon logo.
Steven, you're missed.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have his doppelganger in here soon, though.
Yeah, we'll have Steve. With
Who's
Yeah.
doppelganger? Steve's?
Stevens.
Steve
so-
Noen.
Steve
No
Noen.
So we're definitely going to be talking about DC tonight, and Brandon definitely we talked about it last night, but I definitely want to get your input on it now that we've had some time for it to sink in, and the Snyder cultists are trying to like sneak out of the cracks.
Yeah,
and-
that was quick. Drew thought that they wouldn't have anything to complain about. I told him, I was like,
you
give
fucking
him
serious?
half
boys.
an hour.
You have no idea what I've been doing for the past like 18 hours, do you? Like, I live to fucking just. And here's the thing, I don't troll. Trolling is like going after someone and just trying to get a rise out of them. I don't do that. I decimate. I absolutely decimate. I come at them with logic, reason, and citation. That's my favorite part. I don't say anything I can't fucking back up, like anything concrete. If I say like I think or speculation, that it's right there. I think what I believe, what I think might happen. I can't cite anything for that, although I can certainly find plenty of info to support my thesis. But these folks, they're making fucking sandwiches without bread. They are just dunzo, dude. Like 6s and 7s all through the deck.
With the mayonnaise.
Yeah, fucking.
that friggin' Superman is high post. I'm gonna try to find it. That was fucking
What?
stupid. So yeah, this was one of the stupid cultists I saw today. It was a picture of
Oh, because of the legendary or
yeah,
Legacy.
legacy. Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
So Superman Legacy, and it shows the cover
I
of
guess.
what was that is All-Star Superman? What was the cover?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All-Star Superman. It just said Superman Legacy with the cover
Yeah.
of All-Star Superman where he's like sitting on the side of a snowy mountain and you just
Yeah.
see his cape kind of like over his shoulders and he's sort of
He's
like
got
looking
that
back at
smirk.
quote the camera and
Yeah.
he's just got kind of like I think you just said it, Jeremy, a smirk. Like,
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
aw shucks kind of thing.
The post was James Gunn's Superman looks like he's high or something like that.
Jesus
Oh yeah,
Christ.
well,
Yeah.
I saw plenty of people make similar commentary like, "Oh, well, I mean, look at this. I mean, clearly they're gonna have an older Superman and blah 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 blah." I'm like, and other people, I didn't even have to jump in. Other people like, so you're just a fucking idiot who's never read a comic book, yeah, right? That's the
Like,
case here.
please.
Like, that's the
Wow, he
cover
made it so
for.
clear.
That's one of the covers for the miniseries All-Star Superman that was written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank Quitely. That is not artwork from the movie. That's not storyboarded art. That's from an actual comic book that came out several years ago, which a lot of people see as like the pinnacle of all the different eras of Superman told and distilled through one story.
Yeah.
And this person was like, whatever, it looks stupid. The other thing I thought was funny too is like other people I saw commenting on that same cover were like, well, I mean, right there, I mean, Superman's definitely going to have trunks. Look at him. And I looked at it again. I was like, funny enough that you say that, but you actually cannot see Superman's trunks in that shot, in that drawing at all. He's sitting down with his cape over him and it completely blocks his hip and lap. I hope they don't put trunks on him. I really do. I love Superman. He's my favorite, and I'm saying that not as somebody who's just like loves the movies or cartoons. I've been reading comics for almost 37 years now, and yeah, since I was 4 years old. My very first comic book, The Man of Steel #1 by John Byrne,
Oh
and
wow.
I am of the very staunch opinion that there is no need for Trunks to be on that costume any longer. I get why they were put on during the 30s because it was a very circus strongman look, but we don't even have fucking circuses anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might be time. You can still have red right around that area. You can still use it to break up the whole blue field, but like Trunks with a fucking belt through them. Come on, kids. You know, and for everybody out there, like, well, that's the way it was for so long. Well, just because something has been
How
the
else
same
is he gonna
way
hold up his
for a
pants?
while doesn't mean it should continue on. Like, that's the way we've always done it. Is never a good excuse to continue
No.
doing something.
Well, as a personal preference, I think the trunks are a good idea, but that's just my opinion, and I will be extremely happy with whatever way they decide to do. Because
Listen, I think
I don't have
nothing
a
there
horse
is
in
not
this.
great. Like, I did not like what they did with his costume for Man of Steel and what have you. I think that there should be red
yeah,
to break it
there
up.
definitely needs something to be
But
broken.
I
up.
don't want Trunks. I don't want Trunks. I think there's not like a red belt or whatever. I think kind of like the same idea of the designs that they had as like the glyphs in the Man of Steel costume, but have that piping going like down towards the middle of the torso where the yellow circle was. I did like that, but have that be red. That serves the same purpose and it doesn't look fucking ridiculous. As I've said before, Batman fucking they take his trunks away, nobody fucking bats an eye.
Ah.
Superman though, oh god, no. I literally saw somebody argue that the trunks are the iconic thing that kids identify with. Like, oh, they think
Not
Superman,
the
they
cape?
think red trunks, and I'm like,
Not the S
really?
on the chest.
Not the
Like,
not the S, not the cape.
Like
They
yeah.
jump to underoos. That's the thing that kids identify with the most. Shut up.
If it was the 1980s, maybe.
If their parents worked for Fruit of the Loom, maybe.
Well, yeah. Hey, when I was a kid, whenever you wanted to be a superhero, you wore the trunks on the outside of the clothes and ran around with your towel wrapped around your neck.
Yep, and jumped off the roof. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because everybody knows that if you want to fly, you should put on
start from the highest point.
Superman underwear.
What you know, when I was a kid, you know, I admit I was a stupid kid, but
Me too.
I
A lot
thought,
has changed, huh?
yeah, for some reason, I thought it was the cape that made it so that they could fly. So I thought Batman could fly. You know, it was he
wow.
had a cape so he could fly. You know,
I mean, if you watched The Greatest American Hero as a kid, I could see how
which
that
I
would
did.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be a little confusing because the whole thing was he had a cape and he had to put his arms out in order to be able to fly.
Yeah.
Funny enough, if you watch the pilot episode of that show, it's a 5-year-old kid that sees him trying to figure out how to fly that tells him he's doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So you got to put your arms out and then jump. He's like, what? And then he does it and then he flies at like fucking supersonic speed headfirst into a brick wall and gets concussed. It's a fun show, man. I feel like they should remake it as a short series and have Ryan Reynolds step in to play Agent Maxwell.
There was a talk of like a reboot a while ago, but
Yeah, they did a pilot and it was passed on by ABC. It was going to star Hannah Simone, who played Cece in New Girl. But from what I read of it, it was good that they passed on it. Like she was just kind of like not. You see, part of what makes Ralph Hinckley, the character from the original show, like someone that you root for to get it is because he is a good dude. You know, he really does care about everyone, and he's just, you know, he's a teacher. He's trying to help teach kids and help the troubled kids even at the high school he works at, and he has to deal with Maxwell fucking yapping in his ear all the time about how he should go do this, that, or the other thing. And they find common, you know, like they find middle ground, compromise, and he's like, what if I do this, you know? And it's all about still helping people either way. No real selfishness to it, Whereas in this new one, Hannah Simone's character was going to be like an alcoholic and just kind of a loner and just overall like grouch. And then she was going to get tapped to be like the greatest American heroine or hero. I don't know how they would. No, I mean, I'm not
sorry
about drugs, but well, because they did do that as well. They tried to make a spinoff in the 80s, the greatest American heroine, and it just didn't pick up. But ABC was just kind of like, this is like too dark for this story. So no.
The pilot was pretty dark too. I mean, like those kids were rough, and I didn't realize the lead like tough guy. We actually interviewed him probably about 4 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah,
but there's a difference though. The kids that the good guy protagonist was trying to teach were rough and tumble. They were a bunch of street toughs, whereas he himself was still a bleeding heart, nice guy dude. This character was the fucking troubled kid that grew up and developed, an alcohol problem and just had nobody in their life that they cared about or cared about them. That is not a great place to start off what is supposed to be a family show. And you could definitely tackle like larger social and world events for sure. But you need to, if you're going to go to, for lack of a better term, darker places in your story, you can't have your protagonist be part of that like bleak environment. You need to have them be like the shining beacon. That's sort of the same problem we had with fucking Man of Steel. Superman's not supposed to be the fucking nihilistic moral quandary dude. He's supposed to be the guy that's like, no, there's right and wrong, and it's easy to tell the difference. Instead he's like, I'm snapping necks and I'm jumping over gas trucks, watching the building explode. It's great. Superpowers. Whoa.
Well, so it does sound like we're getting the Boy Scout in blue back.
Fucking ain't right.
Very much so.
Big blue Boy Scout.
It's kind of
we're gonna have the big red cheese and the big blue Boy Scout in the DCU, kids.
I mean, if you're gonna, that's great. The big red cheese.
That's Shazam. That's
I know.
Savannah.
Yeah,
I love those comics.
I can't wait. Like it's gonna. If you're gonna be dark, like Batman should be dark. Superman should be the contrast to your Batman. Like you need to have that. Everything was dark in the Snyderverse. Like it was just bleak. There was no hope. Like, and that's what Superman brings.
Yeah, like, oh, thank God, finally a Superman movie that looks like it was fucking had the screenplay written by Ayn Rand. Get the fuck out of here. This fucking Fountainhead Atlas Shrugged bullshit.
Hey, Steve, we don't have your camera.
Or your
audio.
Audio. Okay, I'll put him in the green room until he gets that fixed. Steve, I'll look until I see a camera.
Okay, cool.
So where do you want to kick this off?
I mean, I feel like we did just fucking kick it off, right? We're talking about,
damn, we're like 20 minutes in.
Talking about changing shit in the DCU, and we're gonna have to figure out. There's gonna be some kind of terminology because I mean, I know in this context, then when we say DCU, we're talking about like the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah.
But like for comic book nerds for years, I mean, DCU just means DC universe. Like that's how we've always referred to that stable of characters and stories.
Well, it sounds like that's he calls it the DC universe. So
yeah, well, we'll fucking see. The fans usually come up with some kind of shit too. So as long as they don't, if they start calling it fucking Gunverse, I'm
Gunverse.
I'm start throwing fucking haymakers. I'm just gonna like wait for my mailman to show up on the porch and be like, "Fuck you!" And be like, "What was that about?" I'm like, "Sorry, man, you're the only person I see besides my wife, and I can't hit her." Like I love her. I barely know you. You can get your route changed. I'll go to jail, and she'll divorce me. That's not anything anybody wants. Maybe, I think, not me anyway.
The Jimmyverse.
No,
thank you.
Did you say the Jimmyverse?
Yeah.
No.
Can we kick Leo off the show? Is that
I don't think that's allowed either.
Whatever it is, I think we're headed into the right track, so it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I do have faith in James Gunn, and when I say that, I don't just mean like insofar as him writing Superman Legacy for the movies. I do think that
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So I do think he's approaching it with a very collaborative spirit, but he and Peter Safran are also probably being very straightforward. Like, hey, listen, we want to give you enough room so that like you can do fun, original, creative stuff, but you have to follow tenets of the cores of these characters. You can't, go one way or the other and make them almost unrecognizable through their actions and words. They can't just look like the character. It can't be superficial. There has to be depth and an actual correlation to the source material. I honestly do feel like that is going to be a large part of what we see moving forward, and I'm happy for it. I'm a little confused by one project in particular, but I'll get to that. What were you going to say, Jar Jar?
I'm just excited to see what it means for the comics, because I mainly follow DC Comics. So for me, him taking over means the whole, if it really does mean the whole universe is going to be connected, I think that'll change a lot within the comics as well. And that makes me happy because, Batman's doing pretty well, but some of the other comics, the storylines have gone astray, and it needs a good shaking, revamping.
Rejiggering.
Well,
yes,
definitely. Yeah, they need to. Okay, Steve's working on fixing his camera. They definitely need to fix the comics, because we're going from one like crisis to another.
Yeah,
it's these stupid.
If I fucking see the word crisis one more goddamn time in relation to some quote mega event from DC Comics, I'm gonna fucking rip my eyebrows out. I mean, I can't fucking pull anything out from the top of my head.
Going crazy to me is you got these mega events going on, and then in over here in Green Lantern, whatever, like nothing seems to be happening at all with this mega event, and I'm just like, why are we not connected? Why is the whole universe like so in disarray? Like
it is, and like, okay, so hear me out. What if he said Flashpoint's going to be the reset of the DC universe? Yeah. What if at that time they reset the comics as well?
That'd be great. I mean, that gives them a year to finish up any stories that they're doing right now.
Think about this, right? What was the one Batman movie? Okay, now I'm hearing a bzz.
Yeah, we're getting a buzz from you, Steve. I'll pop you out for a second. I'll pop you back in, Steve, in a second.
Now, why do I want Honey Nut Cheerios all of a sudden? but did you label those buttons yet, Leo?
Nope.
No. Of course not. There we go. What was the only Batman movie listed in so far? Because, like James Gunn said, this is only
Brave and Bold.
Oh,
yeah, Brave and Bold. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
What announcement did Tom Taylor make the other day?
The second Batman. Yeah.
What's the new book that he was excited about that he's going to start doing for DC?
Oh, I don't know.
Brave and the Bold.
Is it Brave and the Bold? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because that announcement came last week. Yeah, that announcement came last week, and I was like, oh, cool. A Brave and the Bold book. Okay. And then they made that announcement. James Gunn made his announcement for just like part of what it is. Because that's the thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, this isn't a whole lot. It's like, well, first of all, that actually is a whole lot that he announced.
Huge.
Yeah.
But that's not everything that they're working on.
Yeah, that's just like...
That's just what they were willing to let us know about right now.
And that, Jesus Christ, was it a lot? Like, it took
and as soon as he said Brave and the Bold, I was like, oh, you sons of bitches. That was fucking clever. All right. You have one of like the biggest names in DC for writing right now make an announcement across all social media and get people all aflutter with what's going on with Brave and the Bold, and then you drop that right in the middle of your announcements. Like, and I actually, for one, am very excited to see that Damian is going to be Robin in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm stoked about that.
Also, because the implication is that Nightwing will be a character.
Yep.
You know,
I think we're going to get the entire Bat family. I think we're going to get Red Robin. I think you're going to get Batgirl, Batwoman.
Batwoman.
I think everybody is
Bat
coming
Cow.
in. Bat Cow.
Bat Cow.
Bat Dog.
I would love to see them actually show Cassandra
Signal.
Cain. It'd be great to see Cassandra Cain show up at some point in whatever they're doing eventually, not right away. I'd love to see her show up as like straight up trouble, and then Barbara, something goes down with Barbara as Batgirl, and she decides to take over the mantle for Barbara while she's like healing or whatever, and get a chance to see her be that character before she decides to adopt the moniker of orphan altogether.
That would be cool.
And this is coming from a guy who, like, I'm allowed to talk shit about Batman because I actually do know stuff about Batman. I've read many stories. It's not like me saying, fuck that shit, I'll never read it. No, I mean, that's part of the reason why I get so pissy about Batman is because I've read some absolutely phenomenal stories that just get tossed out the window when a new writer comes in. And I really am a big fan of character development and progression. And that's why when it comes to these monthly books, I fade in and out. It's an ebb and flow for me. I can't continue doing it because after a while, I'm like, this is the same shit over and over again, and I'm gonna lose my mind.
Well, perfect example, the volume 3 of Batman right now, after Tom King finished his run, which it started off strong. But I mean, he introduced 2 cool characters, one which stayed on, Gotham Boy or Gotham Guy, Gotham Girl. Gotham Girl, spoiler, survived, but she like disappeared. We don't know where she is.
Is it a spoiler? Didn't it happen like fucking 10 years ago?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Getting close to it.
But so here's the thing, after they switched writers, they did the whole thing that Batman lost his money, and they started off so awesome. He was like moving in. He was like totally poor, but he still owned a brownstone in Gotham. And, they did a quick storyline like, he's starting from scratch. He has to go back to building his own Batmobile and getting his hands dirty. And I thought we were going to get back to a raw Batman, getting back to the beginning. But then they kicked off another friggin', 40-issue arc where like Gotham went all to hell. And it was like, okay, what happened to that storyline? It got totally thrown off to the sidelines.
I've been loath to pick up a new Batman book ever since they went and had let Tim Drake set up the Belfry, and they brought all of the Bat family members together and they formed a cohesive unit, trained together, worked together, shared ideas. Clayface came in. Batman did the one thing that I had always been saying forever he should be doing with his villains, and that is he tried to actually rehabilitate him. He helped him with the pain caused by his condition and allowed him to be a member of the team. And he formed a very adorable and meaningful bond with Orphan during that time. And Tim's idea was beautiful. It was really like changing how Gotham was. They were able to hit so many different areas. And if they had continued on like that, they would have made themselves redundant, which is Batman's end goal. Remember, his goal is to not be necessary anymore. Yeah. And they completely crapped out by the end of it. They were like, nope, never mind. Everything's set back to status quo and scattered to the winds. I was like, okay, and done.
Gotham's in turmoil again.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a new villain that murders everybody. What a surprise.
But it was what Capullo and Snyder had it where Joker War went on, and the whole Gotham had gone all crazy, and then it's all back together again. Tom King takes it on, and then all of a sudden Bane City at War, and blam! It's all
Well,
it really is a repeat, wash, rinse, repeat.
yeah. And but I mean, the good thing about what we're seeing with the DCU starting to emerge and have an actual cohesive plan moving forward is that they can cherry pick all of those great things that happened to make the best cinematic experience possible involving these characters and their stories. You know, there's going to need to be some development and progression for these characters in the movies, because if we're just seeing the same stuff over and over again like we have for years, and it needs to differentiate itself from, you know, the marvelous competition, then, you know, they have no choice. Otherwise, it's going to be more of the same. And already James Gunn has said, "Oh, we're going to have PG-13 and R-rated movies coming out," which already sets it apart from the other guys, because they're so Disneyfied that they're afraid to do anything harder than a light PG-13. You know, and I do appreciate that he dropped Elseworlds as like
Yes,
a brand.
I was just thinking about
in
that.
the midst of that.
Isn't there a podcast that covers Elseworlds?
There is a fantastic podcast that covers Elseworlds, but we're not going
I
to talk
listen
about
to
that
it
one. We're going to talk about
regularly.
the one I do with you, Leo.
Oh, we're not talking about the good one.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the good one. We're talking about the one that we do.
Yeah, I listen to that one too.
If you want to hear some great coverage on Elseworlds and What Ifs from Marvel, then you should check out Comics Paradox. It's you know, every other Sunday, and found, you know, where you can find, you know, listening shows. I'm not going to say the thing because I'm going to say it at the fucking end of this episode. And I don't want to fucking be repetitive. But yeah, Comics Paradox. We talk about that shit all the time, and you know, we actually, Leo, Justin Cooper, and myself, we were talking about some of the stuff that was actually touched upon in the announcement the very next day. Like, we were up late on Monday night, and then Tuesday that announcement was made, and I was like, oh my god. It also immediately, as soon as Booster Gold was dropped, first of all, like, I love Booster Gold, but Justin, I could almost hear him getting an erection all the way over in West Chicago.
It was so, you know, it was so big it almost knocked over his turtle statue.
Oh my god!
Raging nerdgasm. But yeah, I am still puzzled by that one. That's the one that puzzles me the most, is Booster Gold, because I want Booster Gold to be a thing, and I am glad that they're making it a television series. That's the way to go. However, I'm so confused, because I feel like there should be just a few more projects set up to establish some of the characters and stories before we have Booster Gold like traveling back in time and potentially getting to a point where he's like doing a whole like Quinn Mallory, Dr. Sam Beckett thing.
What if they do a little teaser in Blue Beetle?
We'll see. Hey, you know, the other thing too is in Blue Beetle, the movie that's coming out, which I am also very interested in. I like Zola Maridueña from Cobra Kai, who's playing Jaime. But did you see that with the cast that they've announced for this, that there's no Ted Kord?
Yeah, no Ted Kord, but there's I'm sorry, her name is
Victoria Kord, his mother.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking like Ted Kord may actually still be an unknown quantity even throughout most of Blue Beetle, and it's probably towards the end that we actually get to see like what the deal is with him, and that might, you know, kind of dovetail into Booster Gold as a series, how Ted and Michael become friends. You know,
So
they should get fucking William Daniels to be the voice of Skeets.
So there's Harvey Gullen is not listed what he's playing. Say the name right. I know I screwed it up.
Guian.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Hispanic.
Okay.
Double L is it's not pronounced O.
So yeah, they don't say who he's playing. Brianna Quinn Lewis is playing Cord Receptionist.
Oh, very important character.
I know. Well, Cord's listed. I'm looking to see.
Oh, that would be.
Let's see. Interviewee uncredited. Uncle Kima Reyes. Melagros Reyes. Alberto Reyes. Rockio Reyes. Conrad Carapax. Oh, Victoria Cord.
That's
Yep,
I
just said.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
we
you
just.
Yep, said that a minute and a half ago, Leo, without a fucking screen telling me names.
But yeah, that's all. That's office
Yeah,
work,
no.
security tech, Penny, Nana.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be a fun movie. I'm sure of it, and I think it speaks volumes of the quality of the story and what they wanted to do with it. That it started shooting as an HBO Max original movie, and that they said, whoa, no, this is like way too good to just throw on HBO Max. We're making this a feature, and they bumped up the budget, and boom, it's gonna be a theatrical release, which that's the way to go. I think if they had been able to get in early enough on Batgirl, that may have been the same case for that project. But considering everything that they listed out and what they obviously have large plans for, Batgirl just didn't make sense to release. I completely understand. I get it. It sucks because I like Leslie Grace and I was excited to see her play Barbara. But it is what it is, unfortunately. Stuff happens. And I will say, WB has been very straightforward in saying we want to work with Leslie Grace and the directors of that movie again in other things. It's just we couldn't put this project out. So yeah, if not putting out Batgirl means that we start to get this flow of steady, well executed stories, then yeah, the juice was worth the squeeze.
I'm
Go ahead.
most excited to see what they're gonna do with these the lanterns. I think that show is going to probably be my favorite out of the whole lineup. Although I'm really excited for Brave and the Bold. The Lantern show just sounds like something that is gonna really be intriguing and like really set apart the DC universe from everything else. The whole true crime aspect to it, the detective, the where they can go with the whole thing, and the amount of characters that they have to use in the whole Lantern verse, it's going to be really impressive.
What about Paradise Lost? What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, hold on. Before we get into Paradise Lost, just hold that. I want to come back to it. With Lanterns, though, I love the fact that Jon Stewart is going to be one of the two main characters in it. Mostly because,
but isn't he still doing the Daily Show?
No, actually, he's retired from that.
So anyway, guys, Leo, I didn't know that was going to change the order of the layout.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
But the thing is with Jon Stewart, I think it's great that we're getting him because one, personally, like I love Green Lantern. I love the concept, and there's so many different stories to be told with the Green Lantern Corps. But I have never thought that Hal Jordan was the most interesting Green Lantern by any stretch. I actually find him a little meh, and that's just me personally.
I'd like to go more with the
Kyle guy.
Yeah, Renner.
Which one?
Rayner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be. I mean, I feel like we might get to that point, and I hope they cast that well because Kyle Rayner needs to be biracial. He needs to be someone who is like essentially like half white Irish and half Mexican. That is what Kyle Rayner's background is. Sort of like Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man 2099. Funny enough, like when he was younger, the perfect person, like look wise, to play Kyle Rayner would have been Charlie Sheen.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And same background too. Like
yeah, exactly.
Martin Sheen's real name is Ramon Estevez. His parents met at an immigration class. His father was from Mexico and his mother was from Ireland. You know, and fucking super Catholic. But John Stewart,
is that a new character?
super Catholic. Yeah, no one would read that comic. Well, some people might, not me.
There would be a lot of people that read it, but
I don't want to have conversations
religiously.
about that.
They would read it religiously.
That's good stuff. But John Stewart, I mean, he's the type of
We're
guy
bad.
like we've seen over the years in Green Lantern stories. I mean, this is a guy who's a Marine. He's an architect. He has discipline. He knows how to actually like map things out and plan them carefully so that they make logical, sustainable sense. And we've seen that play out in the roles he's taken on over the years. He was the first human guardian in the Guardians of the Universe for the Green Lanterns. He created an entire world, Mosaic. I don't know if you guys remember that, like during the 80s. And you know, he also eventually became the leader of the Dark Stars, which was sort of like the precursor to the Green Lantern Corps. It was a suit that would increase people, you know, being strength and agility and stuff like that. And that alongside with the,
one day I'm gonna pull the computer out of your back. I know this. You cannot retain all this information.
dude, I was a big fan of DC's Who's Who.
I'm
like, Who's Who in the
amazed
DC
by
universe.
you. This like every day I just sit here and I'm like, God damn it, this man
But
has everything.
the Dark Stars I always thought was cool because like what kid reading a comic doesn't think like it'd be badass to like get a suit that, you know, gives you all these cool like superhuman like abilities and you can still like fly in space and all that. And that was alongside the Manhunters as they were put out, and the Manhunters were another failed experiment by the Guardians before the Green Lantern Corps. And Dark Stars were actually they were actually formed to take out the rogue Manhunters and then hopefully become the peacekeeping force that they wanted the Green Lanterns to eventually become. And instead, not so much. It just there wasn't enough. They didn't build enough fail safes into the system, so the people that they were able to bestow that power on, they could kind of do whatever the hell they wanted with it. But when Hal Jordan destroyed the Corps, John Stewart joined up with the Dark Stars, and he was granted power by the controllers. But he wasn't just a member; he became the leader, and it didn't last long. Because the controllers realized that they screwed up by giving him these abilities, and they went on for a little while after he left, but then they disbanded when they fought Graven, who's one of the children of Darkseid. You know, but also the fact that John Stewart, when he was first granted the ring against Hal Jordan's will, by the way, he fought against John Stewart being granted a ring. And I think that was more along the lines of Hal Jordan thinking like, I should be the only Green Lantern in Sector 2814, you know, just ego. John Stewart refused the mask. He never had a secret identity as Green Lantern. He always put his face out there so people would see him. And I like that he never hid from who he was and what he was trying to do for everybody. And I mean everybody. John Stewart was created in like Denny O'Neil, the writer, he made sure that he was a very socially conscious guy. And he made sure to be able to utilize John Stewart and show his experience as best he could from the prism of himself, what it was like to be a black man or a person of color with this ability to do anything that they wanted and see the world in order to mete out justice for injustices that they see, and how that viewpoint informs what injustices are. You know, John Stewart fought apartheid. like straight up in his comics. And you know, he became an example of the things you could do at home for a lot of these heroes, like the real things you could try to do at home instead of just punching another bad guy and destroying a city block.
Mm.
And you know, he's important to some of the stuff that the JLA had done as well. He helped build the watchtower on the moon, which I mean makes sense. If you have one of your members who is a fucking architect, why would you not have him work hand in hand with like Batman and Martian Manhunter and Cyborg to do that shit or whatever? And you know, he actually became a full-blown architect. He started his own firm called Shining Light Architecture, which, you know, clever Green Lantern. And it keeps him sharp. He legitimately has aside from Kyle Rayner, who's a graphic artist, he has the most intricate constructs of any Green Lantern because his mind just works like that. And he became such a big deal in some of the more recent comics. He was basically running so many different things on Oa, the science cells and administration and what have you, like in lieu of the Guardians being there because there was nothing left of them to do anything with. And he was the one doling out assignments to all the different Green Lanterns. When you're a human Marine given this power, and then you are placed in charge of telling everyone else in the universe who has the same power what to do, that's nothing to sneeze at. And you know, I think he's a very impressive character altogether. I've always liked him a lot, and to hear that he's involved, and they're gonna do sort of like a true detective type thing, like have someone who's maybe just a little bit more staunch and moral than Hal Jordan without it being like goofy, like a buddy cop comedy. That I find that very intriguing. And you know, and part of I had said earlier, you know, today is February 1st. It's the first day of Black History Month, and I'm glad that the announcement was made, and it gave me a chance to kind of spout all this stuff off about John Stewart because it's just like icing on the cake. Like I get to talk about this one character for sure that is a big deal throughout all of DCU and one of the projects that we have coming out. But also, you know, take the time to talk about a character in any of these comics that's not Milestone Media. I love Milestone Media, but like that shouldn't just always be the focal point whenever people want to talk about like Black created and existing superheroes and superheroines, especially in February. You know, give me your Blue Marvels and you know your Storms from X-Men before you start busting out Icon every other fucking sentence out of your mouth. Once again, Icon's an awesome character. I love Icon and Rocket. They're great. And that's the other thing too is a lot of people were complaining about Static not being part of like what was announced for some of the DCU stuff coming out by James Gunn, and I had to like tell people like you do realize that DC doesn't own Static, right? Like that's not a thing. They license the character. Milestone Media owns Static, and then somebody else said, well, at the very least they could like get you know some of the big guys that we're working on like Justice League and some of the Superman and Batman shows and Justice League Unlimited. And I was like, they can't because Dwayne McDuffie is dead. I really feel like you need to learn a little bit more about Milestone Media altogether. Like legitimately, some of these people saying this had no idea who Dwayne McDuffie was.
Wow.
Yeah, that guy made Justice League Unlimited and the entire animated DCU the thing it was. I mean, Batman was great, Superman was great, Justice League was okay, but it was Unlimited where you started to see like the full pantheon and get weird team-ups. And that was all Dwayne McDuffie's doing. And that was because he had said, all right, I'll come over and I'll work on the Static Shock cartoon that you're doing for WB. And DC Animation was like, please come over here and work with us. And look at the fruits that it bared, you know? It was
Unlimited was great.
Oh, fucking phenomenal.
Great
and when
team-ups.
When he passed away, like, oh man, that was a fucking knife through the heart for real. for a lot of people. I mean, I feel even worse for the people who knew him and were close to him in life. But for us as fans, we missed out on a whole lot more that guy had to show us. I think that was just the tip of the iceberg. He was just getting started. But anyway, so now that I'm done on my Jon Stewart tear, Paradise Lost.
Oh,
You were
yeah.
saying, Yo.
Yes. Hey, Leo's back.
Oh, Leo made it
Yeah.
back just
Oh,
in time.
we had to
the
Riley's
drops.
medicine. Yeah.
Hey,
Riley.
you
He
missed
just
all the
started-
Jon Stewart stuff, Leo. You suck.
Sorry.
No, you're not. So
Now,
Paradise Lost.
You're
as-
gonna
as it
have
was
to
announced.
repeat it now,
You
Brandon.
can just watch the episode later.
Oh, when the people's thoughts on it, like a female-led series.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
They said it was going to
especially
be like Game of Thrones esque, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I like a whole very political power struggle kind of show that especially they're definitely gonna make it brutally gory and stuff. Not gory, but like brutal with the sword fighting and stuff like that. It's gonna be.
But you didn't watch Game of
It's-
Thrones, though, right?
No, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
you're-
watched Game of Thrones. I
fun to
watched House of the Dragon. I'm
Okay.
gonna watch Snow. I'm gonna.
Be a
I
big
watch.
fan of Hot
I've. Do you see, Leo? I actually read all the books too.
I,
Do I say good for you or sorry? I don't. I don't know.
Sorry, because
Okay.
like, dude,
Sorry, man.
I'm so like I won't even read the new book if it ever does come out. I'm just over it. I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
man.
D&D just totally destroyed that series.
Well, yeah.
See,
I
D&D.
don't.
Yeah, Dan and the showrunners for
Oh,
Game of Thrones.
D&B,
D&D.
D&D.
Yeah, it's
So you say that, and I just keep thinking Dungeons and Dragons, which
Me too.
Yeah.
I was
Fighting
just
the
going
legends
with
of
it.
Yore. It's D&D.
I was very confused on how that ruined Game of
It's
Thrones.
the new
like,
movie. The new movie took it all.
Never kissed a lady before. Nope. Woo.
yeah, it's DB Wise and yes, D&D.
Okay, you said one name.
Hold on.
You're like DB Weiss and yes, D&D.
Yes, D&D.
Sure, Leo, if you say so.
Leo said so, so therefore.
Hold on.
I'm just rambling, so we don't have dead air.
Yeah, please do.
Ramble,
So what
Rhubarb
is
garbage,
D&D
rhubarb
in Game of
garbage.
Thrones? D&D is the true villain, the ultimate evil, the final boss of the show. Let's see.
Okay, anyway, enough of that. we get it. We get
Okay,
it. They're
David.
the guys that were the showrunners, and they
Yeah,
said,
David Benioff and DB Weiss.
Okay.
D&D.
"Oh, okay."
David
Ah.
and D.
I blame George Martin for not finishing the story for them.
Well, it's twofold. It's one that he didn't finish the story, but it's two, D&D didn't know how to write a story on their own.
that is true. They
They did a
kinda
great
just
job.
Fell apart.
Yeah, they did a great job adapting the source material.
The long
Yeah.
night that
Would
went
you
on
have
for an
rather
hour.
them just stopped until he made
No.
something?
No.
No, they never should have embarked on something that hadn't been completed
Yeah.
to begin
Yeah,
with.
I agree
or
with
hire
that.
actual writers. Hire actual writers that know what
Well,
they're doing.
actually, I mean, what I said is my feeling on it, but
Yeah.
like I don't feel as strongly about Game of Thrones. I've never read the books, and I'm a big book reader. I just don't do fantasy. It's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
no judgment. It's just not my bag.
Yeah, fantasy is all I do, and like
Yeah,
it destroyed me. Like for years, I'm sitting there like, come on, man. Like
We-
he started writing prequels, and I'm like, no.
So I only read the first book, but we were it was a show me and Megan started watching earlier in our relationship.
And the first book's like almost perfect to the show.
Yeah, totally. But it was, whenever a new season came out, we went and rewatched the entire show up until then. Like, when season 3 was coming out, we'd go back and watch season 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still do that with House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I rewatched the entire 8 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'm still a diehard.
Yo, did you watch Game of Thrones?
Not all of it.
Okay, but you did catch
Yeah.
some of it. Okay, now obviously, like Leo and Jar Jar, you guys read at least one of the books.
Yes.
All right. And that's how you were aware of and excited for HBO to make the series, correct?
I read the first book after watching the first series.
So no, I was not correct. Thank you. But regardless, you were like all in after the first season.
Oh,
you
hell
read-
yeah. Yep.
You read the book, and then you're like, oh, maybe I should just like not ruin the television series for myself, and I'll catch it out later, you know, blah blah blah. And then meanwhile, Jar Jar's at home, like, why is he writing prequels? Finish the fucking series.
Yeah.
Yo, how did you start watching Game of Thrones? Like, how were you made aware of it? Like, did you just hear about it? And you're like, oh, this is what everybody's talking about.
I heard about it, like when it was about to come out, and it's like, it sounds interesting. I'll try it.
Okay, so you kind of like were there for the start of it, just to kind of, you like dipping your toe, like, oh, I'll see how it is.
Yeah.
See, I didn't start watching it until it was like 2 seasons deep, and the only reason I watched it was because I had seen the skits videos done by that hairdresser. He's on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. He has like a beard now, but he still has like the long hair. He did some like Uber commercials or something where he was like on a pommel horse with another small gymnast girl. He did a thing called Gay of Thrones, and he would have like people from Game of Thrones sit in the chair in his salon, and he would just talk about the past week's episode, but through the lens of like a vivaciously gay man. And it was a fucking riot. Like the guy, he was dead on with his descriptions, but the way he went talking about the characters, like Jeffrey, Prince Joffrey, whatever, was not Joffrey. He was Power Bottom Joffrey. Yeah. And then Power Bottom Joffrey is just all like, it was fucking hysterical. And I had not seen a single episode of the show, and I was like, I feel like I should watch Game of Thrones so I get a better grasp on what this guy's talking about. And so I watched like the first few episodes of the first season on demand, and by the third episode, I was like, shit. All right, well, I can't watch any more of this until I tell Dara to watch it, because I'm not going to watch this more than like 6 episodes twice. And we started from that point on and got to the end, and then the show finished, and I was like, oh, well, fiddle dee. I'll just continue on living my life. No big deal. I was fine. And then I signed onto the interwebs, and I was like, oh, there are a lot of people out there who are decidedly not fine. What the fuck is happening? So, yeah, I was just curious how what their exposure was to that whole world. That's all.
Yeah.
I can't wait for them to do the spin-offs. So I as much as I thought they went off and did the story, kind of didn't do it justice, I still enjoyed it for what it was.
So speaking of spin-offs, it's pretty cool that they're gonna have Viola Davis come through.
Oh yeah,
star in Waller.
What a segue!
HBO Max. I've been nailing them lately.
Well, before we hop into that, I just wanted to ask.
Fuck you, Leo. That was such a good goddamn song. Oh no! Before we seamlessly go from topic to topic, I'd like to bring this to a screeching halt and bring up 5 more things about Game of Thrones that I love.
No. I wanted to talk about Paradise Lost. And I was going to ask Jar Jar and Yo-Yo, you know, after watching Game of Thrones, knowing the quality of that production, House of the Dragon, how amazing it is, you know, thinking about Paradise Lost, you know, what are your thoughts? You know, it's like,
are you wondering if the production value is going to be as high?
Well, I'm sure it will, but like, I mean, we're talking big monsters, and
both of you guys better answer his question, because he wants to know what you think. He didn't ask my fucking opinion.
Yeah, he said only me and Yo-Yo, so F you, Brandon.
Yeah,
I am hoping.
I see how it goes.
Monsters. I'm very much hoping for gods and monsters. Hey, you're back in your right spot.
I know, that's great. If I had known that would do it, I would have done it sooner.
Okay, all three of you. What do you think?
At the same time, ready?
Well, you
Make
see,
it completely unintelligible.
very good.
Go ahead. Let's hear from Jar Jar because he's read like the fantasy books that we're referencing insofar as all these series. So
I'm excited. Because with Paradise Lost, it's in my realm, my theory inside my head, you're gonna get gods and monsters. You're gonna get though there's gonna be definitely infighting between the Themyscians and stuff. There's going to be wars and battles to be fought, and those are what I'm really interested in. Who are our like little side bad guys? Because I feel like your main I don't know,
Hades.
villains or whatever, are going to be other Themyscians. The battle for power.
we have a
within.
very different idea about who the bad guy might be. I think
Oh,
there's gonna
really?
be a central bad guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who do you think it's gonna be?
I'll let you and Yo-Yo talk because my opinion's clearly the fucking one that doesn't matter here. So
Go ahead, Yo-Yo.
Oh no, I want to know who's gonna be.
I have no idea.
I mean, this is
just-
speculation. This is just
Yeah.
my own thing. Hera, she's going to be the
Oh.
Cersei of this
That
entire
would-
story
that would make sense, especially
because
with
she's
Zeus
she's pissed about the fact that Zeus has clearly taken a liking to Hippolyta. Because as it's been established over the past decade, since pretty much the New 52, Wonder Woman is a demigod, meaning demigod is a term, originating from ancient Greek, demi, which is similar to demi, and that is a person that is half divine, half god, and half human. Hercules was a demigod because his father was Zeus and his mother was immortal. A mortal, not immortal. And not to be confused with when they call Thor a demigod in the MCU. I think they do that to kind of dissuade people south of the Bible Belt from having their heads blow up the fucking dude at the beginning of Scanners. Thor is not a demigod. He is a god. He is a full-blown god. But yeah, Wonder Woman, Diana, she is a demigod. She is the daughter of the half-human daughter of a Olympian. And Hera is known through mythology to be jealous,
very jealous
of all the different women that Zeus, bedded willingly or against their will, I'd like to add.
Yes.
Throughout the many different stories in Greek, and if you wanted to go Roman, lore, just different names. And so I think that she's going to be like a little bit of the Cersei-esque character when they do this, because if it's supposed to be dealing with like everything a little bit, I shouldn't say everything, but a bunch of stuff before Diana, then that would be a very interesting conflict altogether. Like, imagine being gifted this island for all of these Amazons to be able to live on and not have to worry about aging and getting sick and all that stuff, and not worry about man's world. But like, they were gifted that by Zeus. And why did Zeus? The jealousy would just through the top. There's a lot of opportunity for high drama, and like you said, many different battles and cool Shakespearean Iago from Othello kind of shit. So I think that's, if I were doing it, that's who I would look at to make my main villain is Hera. And you can have all kinds of other different characters from Greek mythology fading in and out, and you can have little Easter eggs for things that will eventually come through. Like, I don't think it should be right away, but eventually they should have Hephaestus as a character, and eventually he gives Hippolyta a gift, and it would be the bracelets. Us as nerds be like, oh my god, that's Wonder Woman's bracelets, they're bulletproof, she uses them to keep from being hurt. It's gonna be great. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and then the show hopefully doesn't go on for too long, doesn't overstay its welcome, and it should most certainly like culminate / end in the birth of Diana. That should be like one of the very last things to happen in that series.
So you
Is she
don't
gonna
want
be
it
made out of clay again?
No, she will be Zeus's daughter. I mean, if they don't have it be like the very last thing that happens, it's gonna be a big thing that happens at the beginning of the last season, which leads way to the big throwdown battle between the Amazons and all the different entities, people, whatever, that Hera manipulated to send them out that way. And that could be the impetus for how it gets completely closed off to man's world by the end of the series.
So
that's just one white bearded Irish guy's thoughts.
I like where you went. I could sit and listen to you
I'd
for
watch
a while.
So you don't want it to go on like Gotham, where it's like the birth
God,
of
please no.
Diana,
No.
and then we see like her training and like the
Gotham went on
Leo,
entirely too long.
I'm gonna let you answer your question for you. What do you
Steve!
think?
Does it actually work now?
we're getting an echo.
Oh,
I think it's
Echo.
gone. No.
Hello.
All three of me.
Pigs in space.
You hello.
Nano.
No.
Yeah, I think it's
calling
gone.
Olsen.
Yeah.
Calling Olsen.
got it. Good.
Ah,
That
this was
a
fun.
You ever realize that
Leaving.
that the live long and prosper and nano can easily migrate? No.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that wasn't an accident.
Then
Just saying.
plus time.
Shazbot. But yeah. So no, I do not want it to be like Gotham. I didn't want Gotham to be like
No.
Gotham. Are you fucking
No.
serious?
I hate watched that show.
I watched
didn't.
it for like
I
couple
love
of
myself,
seasons.
so I didn't.
Oh,
yeah, right.
I had to run a panel with man, I'm gonna screw up his name now.
David Mazouz.
Yeah, Mazouz. Great kid, by the way. Like,
He's a very nice kid. Yeah, I met him.
like, he was amazing. But I wanted to make sure I had everything in my head when I did it, and holy crap, that was horrible.
Yeah. The first few seasons when it was just Gotham, like
well, yeah,
when it was just Gordon, I mean that was a great show, but after like the third season it went to hell.
yeah. I don't know what they were trying to do.
Oh,
No.
well, I mean, they were trying to make a Batman show without Batman. That's what they were fucking trying to do.
But
Anyway,
Batman-
can we not talk about Gotham for Christ's sake?
Oh yeah.
There's so many other
brought it
better
up.
things that
You
were
brought it
announced.
James Gunn.
You could have used that as a transition to talk about Waller again. Just saying.
I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about shows and things that we actually want to see, Waller starring Viola Davis is going to be made into
Yes.
an original series on
I'm
HBO
actually
Max.
super excited for this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it'd be really great. I mean, first of all, if you have Viola Davis and she is willing to play in your sandbox, you fucking let her. You know what I mean? She is amazing. I also think it's fucking crazy, like, to see her in something like Peacemaker, like brief shots that she was in the Suicide Squad, and how they in if you don't know what I'm talking about, then I feel sorry for you. But Viola Davis, she fucking got into ridiculous shape for the Woman King.
Yeah.
And they had to go out of their way to like frump her up for the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. It was fucking amazing to me because I had actually watched that movie on Amazon from Amazon Studios. What was it? Troop Zero with McKenna Grace, the little girl from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
The one. Have you seen Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Yes.
Jeremy, the Egon's granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's a
Yeah,
it's
all
a,
these guys with proton packs. Have you seen it?
and just
It's
don't
a
cross the streams.
Little movie called Ghostbusters.
No.
But she was in that movie. It takes place in the 70s, and she's wearing like very 70s clothes, like tight jeans and
Oh, holy shit!
tight shirts. And like when I saw her in that movie, I was like, what the fuck? Like straight up, if you did not see Viola Davis's face at all, you'd be like, oh, who is that lady over there? What's her deal? And that's not to say that she's an unattractive woman. That not at all. Like I think Viola Davis is a beautiful woman. It's just you would think she was like a young woman when you
Yeah.
saw her and be like, oh, all right,
I'm
like
looking at
fucking
stuff here right now.
Kit Kat status. Break me off a piece of that, man. And then like she turns around and you're like, what? No, you're the woman that was in Faith with Meryl Streep or dealt with
Nope.
Meryl Streep. This is fucked up.
She'll
I need
beat
an
your
adult.
ass.
Like, how did you get into those jeans, miss? And how do I get you out of them? No.
Whoa.
Listen, I'm telling you, you see Troop Zero, you'll fucking know what I'm talking about. Like, I
Writing it down now.
yeah, I was. It's a good movie. Jim Gaffigan plays her dad in it. And
Oh,
it's
really? Gaffigan?
Yeah. Allison Janney is in it as well. She plays the like real prick leader of the other Girl Scout troop that the girl wants to join. Yeah, it's a cute movie, but yeah, when I saw that and I saw Viola Davis in it, it was before I knew that she was like already started gearing up for the Woman King. I was like, when the fuck did this happen? Like, did I miss something? And then it was like, oh, she's gonna be in this movie. I'm like, all right, it all makes sense now. What I'm curious about though with Waller as a series is they say that it's gonna feature Team Peacemaker.
Yep.
They've said that Peacemaker season 2 is on hold now. Not that it's like canceled, but it's on hold.
Yeah.
And I get it. That makes sense. They're trying to give everything else like room to set roots and you know join
Catch up.
people in the zeitgeist. And they're not like completely pushing them off. They're going to keep them somewhat relevant because clearly they're going to feature somehow in Waller. So there'll be some kind of presence to remind you that they exist. But I would really like to see what the end result of that is altogether for the other projects that are all going to be coming out for DCU. Because like, I feel like Waller doing her thing would likely, are we going to see a little bit more from Danielle Brooks, who played her daughter in Peacemaker, who I love her. She was great in Orange is the New Black. She was fantastic in Peacemaker. She's adorable. She sounds like a kid, like straight up. Like if she was around the corner and you heard her talking, be like, what is there, like a 15-year-old over there? But she was fantastic in it, and I would really like to see what the end result of her. We all seen Peacemaker here?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. The press conference that she has at the end of Peacemaker season 1, like what's the repercussions there?
Yeah, that's true. We don't know the fallout.
And I would really like to see if they have Waller, which would likely be voiced by Viola Davis, as James Gunn had been saying, show up in any capacity in Creature Commandos, the animated series that's coming out.
That looks so good. Frankenstein. I mean, the cast looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool that they're. I mean that's sort of James Gunn's thing anyway. He goes for the B, C, D listers, as well as some of the big names, and that's the right mix, I think, to approach with everything here.
Well, I think Waller is gonna bring in a lot of B, C, D listers as well. Like you'll get these little, like, I don't know, friggin' Condiment King or something like that'll come into play. I hope not Condiment King.
Yeah, but... please not. Please. What a wiener.
Eye finger guy.
I'm sure he would relish the opportunity to join. If he could muster up the courage, that is. Probably play a lot of catch up though.
Come on, Leo.
He didn't catch it. He didn't hear me say it. I think he was like, oh,
I did. I just wear out the button.
I thought we were gonna get one in.
He'll show up and be like, "Who is the sauce? I am the sauce. For my Spanish friends, soy sauce. I'm gonna hit that fucking button again for you. All right.
If you don't want to
Yeah.
hit it, I'll do it for you next time.
But you know, and we'll see what's gonna come of that. We don't even know, you know, who's gonna be voicing, and as James Gunn said, which is interesting, the actors who will be playing characters will be voicing them in cartoons and vice versa.
When I heard
So
that, I was like super excited about.
yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I am a little confused with the gaming thing. I think if anything, games.
That's gonna be tough.
I think games more than likely are going to be sort of tales within the world that are set up in the DCU. I don't think it's going to directly correlate to what you're seeing in the movies, but it will be the same world as the movies, if that makes sense. Like, they won't necessarily be referenced per se, but you'll get a sense of continuity and connection. I think that's really what they're striving for. And a lot of people took like the wrong thing from that. And like, it's, oh, I thought we were done with like movie tie-in video games. Like, I think you're misinterpreting what the plan is, but we'll see. We'll see. But the great thing about Creature Commandos is that we can take a look at those monsters and then just go right back to live action. And Swamp Thing was announced as a movie, and I would venture to say that's going to be their rated R right out of the gate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Swamp
it
Thing
should
is always
be.
been my favorite DC character, so I'm 100%.
It's gonna be
Swamp Thing is the movie that was originally made. I've said for a long time, and whether it's Marvel or DC, but Warner Brothers has actually kind of gone with this for a good stretch of time. Sometimes I found that some of the most interesting in, I guess you could say, well executed superhero movies have been directed by horror directors. And I mean, that goes right back to Superman the movie. Dick Donner had worked on The Twilight Zone, and then he was riding high off of The Omen when he got the job to direct Superman the movie. Then just a couple of years later, you have Swamp Thing come out. Who directed Swamp Thing, kids? Wes Craven. Wes Craven.
Shit. I don't know why I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Then you skip ahead a few years to 1989. Now, not directly horror, but Tim Burton.
Yep.
Batman. Yeah, you could. I mean, maybe not horror, but horror comedy. Beetlejuice.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, like he has a creepy edge to him, and he always has in the vast majority of his projects. Then even when he left those Batman movies, who took over? Joel Schumacher. You know, the guy that directed The Lost Boys and Flatliners.
I just watched Lost Boys the other day.
Then you jump to Superman Returns. Who directed that?
Somebody please answer the man.
Bryan Singer.
I was trying to Google it faster.
Damn all of you.
Bryan Singer.
We know I don't know, but you
Bryan
guys
Singer
should.
directed it, and he actually directed one of the better adaptations of a short story by Stephen King that I've seen, Apt Pupil. That story is fucking horrifying, and he ended the movie better than the book.
I'm gonna answer your question before you say it. Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man for sure. And also, you know, Bryan Singer with X-Men. And that whole thing there is why Ian McKellen played the Nazi in Apt Pupil. But you have
Sam Raimi and Doctor Strange.
Yes, very good. But you know, then you jump ahead a little bit. I mean, Chris Nolan, he did Memento which is more of a just like a kind of a thriller, but also Insomnia. Those are very psychological. Then you have Zack Snyder, who came in, Dawn of the Dead. You have Patty Jenkins come in, who did Monster, true life crime, like fucking horrible shit. The only female serial killer. I'm trying to think who else we got. I mean, we had James Gunn with The Suicide Squad, known for doing Slither. You know, it's just if you want to go to, and I'm not saying every choice made was the best choice, but there were certainly like original choices made for those productions, and they were all horror directors.
Aquaman.
James Wan.
Yeah.
Saw, The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Oh, even he did some indie ones. What the hell are they?
Was Saw and The Conjuring not enough for you there, Leo?
Not enough. Leo
Yes.
needs more deep
Yes.
dive.
Hold on. Let me.
But even with The Flash, David Muschietti.
Holy shit!
Who,
Yeah.
Who
He
directed
did it.
Shazam?
Oh, David F. Sandberg. Lights out.
See, look at this. Let's keep going, guys.
Oh, never mind. I was thinking of something else.
But yeah, and Andy Muschietti, what did he do? Annabelle
Oh wow.
Annabelle Creation or something. He did one of them. But yeah, I mean, it's all horror directors, and I think that it just shows how much horror directors have to rely upon like their own
Scott
wits
Derrickson
and create.
too.
What's that?
Scott Derrickson did Sinister.
Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Yeah. It just goes to show you like horror directors, they have to think around corners. They have to be creative because a lot of the times the movies that they're working on, horror related, they come up against seemingly insurmountable issues and they have to have workarounds. They might not be able to afford a certain thing and they still want to do it, execute it for their story. So what do? You figure out a better way. Maybe you have to do it in a different way and still elicit the same reaction that you're looking for. And James Gunn is one of the people that clearly learned how to do that from the get-go, because this is the guy that started off with a rinky-dink job at Troma in New Jersey and ended up writing a fucking script tapped by Lloyd Kaufman after only being there for a short amount of time. And it was critically acclaimed. Tromeo and Juliet.
Oh yeah.
And that same guy learned so much when he was there and he eventually moved on. That's like the foundation of how he approaches movies. And I'm all for that, because a lot of these horror guys and gals, that's the way they live their lives on movie sets. It's always having to, like, it's the challenge of how are we going to do this? How are we going to execute it? Do we have this? Do we have enough for it? Okay, we're not going to be able to do it like this. So how about this? It's constantly trying to solve problems in a creative way to make it as believable as possible on camera. And that comes back to what Richard Donner said. No matter what the superhero you're doing, Marvel, DC, Superman, Thor, whatever, on the set of Superman the movie, his big thing was verisimilitude. Truthfulness, truth in what you see. If you don't believe it, the audience won't either. And that's the reason why Kevin Feige and Victoria Alonso have every production watch Superman the movie before they start.
I didn't even know that.
Speaking of Superman the movie, did you see what I put in chat for a splash about the interview we did on the other show?
No.
Oh. So we had Maurice LaMarche on.
Oh, Gene Hackman, huh?
Yeah, he was doing Gene Hackman impressions, but he said Pinky and the Brain, Gene Hackman and Otis were the template for Pinky and the Brain.
Really?
Yeah, he said
Mr. Luthor. Otis Berg. Well, you see, Miss Tessmacher, she got her place, and I just thought, it's like an itty bitty place. They just Otis Berg, I'll wipe it off. It's not a big deal. Like when he tries to steal the pretzel from the old guy and the dog next door. Okay, all right, I'm paying for it. Yee. What do you take, Milo? Yeah, I named my dog after Otis. It's my dog Otisberg. Because that scene used to fucking destroy me as a child. Like I laughed hysterically as a kid. Gene Hackman killed me when he admonishes Otis. It's fucking Ned Beatty. And you know what? Ned Beatty, now that I think about it, he's the only person. He was one of the first people to go from a DC movie, like mainstream DC superhero movie, to a mainstream Marvel movie that wasn't really released or known that well because it wasn't great. Captain America, starring Matt Salinger. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
He's the grown-up little kid that sees Captain America just before the rocket, hits the White House, and he diverts it. And then he grows up. He's a reporter, and he's the one helping Captain America find his way through the strange world of 1991. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
How do you do a Gene Hackman impression? Man.
I was trying to after he mentioned it, and I was like, I cannot get there. You definitely have to go with Superman the movie, like.
Yeah. Greatest criminal mind of our time.
Yeah, he was doing the Gene Hackman from Superman.
See, I just can't get that to that.
I know you can hear me, Superman. You are one of the only beings without 4 legs in this entire planet that could hear through this frequency. It's fucked up because, like, my dad was he was an OG geek, and he exposed me to Superman the movie, like, so early in my life. My parents actually went to go see Superman 2 in theaters when they found out they were pregnant with me. Like, they went out for a dinner and a movie date, and that was the movie. Like, and my dad was like, "We're going to see Superman 2," and my mom was like, "Okay."
You heard the movie. You heard the movie in utero, and we're like,
and damn straight. But the fucked up thing is, my father, he passed away, 20 years ago. But the movie The Royal Tenenbaums came out, and Gene Hackman in that movie looked exactly like my dad. That is what my father looked like. The glasses, the fucking Irish bulbous nose, the mustache, the fucking wavy long hair that he probably should have gotten cut several months ago. I was like, holy crap, Gene Hackman's Royal Tenenbaum is Hugh Powers. This is nuts.
Just because you're saying who our dads looked like, my dad was the embodiment.
I like that you go up on the end.
Fuck?
What the?
I'm sorry, I was trying to find.
Oh,
that wasn't any of us that said that. Leo, the podcast is haunted.
Is that you?
Ghosts.
My father was the physical embodiment of Cal Naughton Jr.
No shit.
I'll send you a picture. I swear to God, everybody thought my dad was John C. Reilly.
It's fucking funny, man.
My dad was the Invisible Man.
Oh
no, I'm sorry. I like to throw that one out there. Don't feel bad.
Actually, that needed...
So your dad talk like this? I like to party. Hey man, I want to listen to TV and the stereo at the same time. You don't? Well, I do. I like to party.
I like to picture my Jesus, in a tuxedo.
My name is Ralph, and I live on a brick pile. It's okay. But man, I'd like some cake. No. John C. Reilly. He would have been an interesting choice for Thing when people were banding his name about several years ago for Fantastic Four. Hey, you know what? I don't want to get into fucking that bullshit.
Ooh.
I'm still trying to talk about
Don't
DC.
do it, Leo.
Oh, wait. What about him as Otis? John C. Reilly.
I feel like having a 6'4" Otis would not really work.
he gets on his knees and he only film him from the.
What is this?
That's
Fucking
different
Tim
movie.
Conway as Dorf? Get the fuck out of here. How much is a Tim Conway? About 150 pounds.
Oh.
But yeah, so regardless of that, Swamp Thing horror directors, James Mangold's coming in to do that. He's in talks, and a lot of people would be familiar with what he's done, Logan and the Wolverine for Fox. So that could end up being really good. I have high hopes, not just because like Swamp Thing, but the concepts inherent to the character that were introduced through like the saga of Swamp Thing and such. The green,
Yeah,
and the red,
yeah.
Which
Rock
because
World.
if they're gonna do that, I mean, if they're gonna have the green, then the red is best represented by Animal Man. Which could be a very intriguing concept to merge with Swamp Thing. So we'll see how that goes, but there's a lot of like sort of natural magic involved with that, like the nature's own guardians. So we're getting like different tiers of gods and monsters as they named this chapter for DCU.
Very well
and
named, by the way.
Yeah.
I
thought that
I
was
think so.
very clever.
I agree, because which is which sometimes too.
Yeah.
Do me a favor,
And
look in that chat and you'll see what I mean in the Facebook chat.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Yeah.
That I got that all the time. My dad
call me-
rocked that.
They call me
for-
El Diablo. Like a fighting chicken.
So they gave the specifics on the Supergirl show.
I was just gonna say, is it a show or a movie?
Or
It's a
sorry,
movie.
movie. Do you think he's gonna do that to like give us the gritty, dark Superman to like shut people up?
Well, no. I think you're more likely.
I mean,
to see...
not doing it because of, but I mean, it could end up being like.
Well, no. I think just character development wise, it makes sense. Okay, when you have these two beings from Krypton who are related, all right, but one was born and raised here on Earth as a human, part of their society, not knowing the difference for a good long time until their own powers started to develop. Never experienced the tragedy that bore them to the existence they lead now, that bear them to the existence they lead now. Whereas Kara watched her entire people essentially die twice.
Yeah.
Because Krypton exploded, and then they tried to eke out an existence on Argo City, which was essentially hermetically sealed in a hurtling rock out in space. And then eventually everybody there goes kaput, and that's when she makes her way to Earth as well. So, yeah, it makes sense that she would be a little less trusting, a little more jaded. Her existence has been wrought with tragedy, and that's not something that Clark ever really had to experience. So when she shows up, having a chip on her shoulder makes perfect sense. And that is sort of the flip side of the coin of like, oh, what if you had a Kryptonian here and they didn't necessarily have the morals instilled in them that Superman did, that Jonathan and Martha Kent were able to teach him. And I think it probably will
entered the need for Batman's backup plan.
It will line up with the Girl from Krypton storyline that Jeff Loeb did for Batman Superman back in like 2002 or whatever.
Didn't he reference a storyline?
Did he?
Tom King's.
Yeah.
What was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Tom King's Superman.
Oh yeah,
Tom King and Bill Quist Evely.
Okay,
Say
yeah.
that one again.
Bill
It's named
Evolution.
after that run.
It's close enough.
What? Who the fuck
I-
are you talking about?
It's Supergirl,
No.
Woman of Tomorrow. Is
Yeah, it's
I-
named,
Oh,
yeah, it's
you
named.
always
The
correct
movie is
Leo.
named after the run.
So with Swamp Thing coming out as so this is Carrie saying, with Swamp
Dead
Thing
Boy
coming out
Detectives.
as well as Dead Boy Detectives, do you guys think there's a chance for something like the Children's Crusade to come into play?
I don't know what that is.
It's Vertigo.
Wow.
Maybe. You see, the tricky thing is, Dead Boy Detectives is being done for HBO Max. However, Doom Patrol, which it stemmed from, and Titans both are going to be finishing up after these seasons. So that's pretty much that. I don't know how much they're going to want to delve into some of that other stuff. For the time being, somebody had said something like, "Oh, all these things and yada yada yada," but they can't. Oh, I guess they. But why can't they, sell Snyderverse to Netflix?
Why would you want that?
Yeah, and, well,
Sorry.
believe me, that's what the Snyder cultists are fucking screaming.
Are you serious? Yeah, damn.
So four things on Netflix and cancel it. Like one episode in. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
But so Neil Gaiman stuff is always like well done, but some of these people who are touting these things and want to see certain things done. I think they don't think of the connectivity and how it would or wouldn't make sense. I think the Children's Crusade, from the Vertigo imprint at DC, would work really well if there was a plan for Dead Boy Detectives to maybe go past one season. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case at this point, though. And it would be nice to see something like that, but I think they're probably going to want to get John Constantine squared away before they start delving too much into the full-blown dark arts portion. I think it's smart to have Swamp Thing because you might be able to use that at some point as a way to backdoor introduce Constantine. And we also have to keep in mind that there is Constantine 2 or Constantine, however they're going to say it. Maybe they might make the correction in the movie. We could find out. But we got to see how they deal with the character in the DCU after they do the sequel with Keanu Reeves in it, because that feels like it would probably fall into that Elseworlds line.
Yeah.
But they still need to establish that character at some point in the DCU. I think with Swamp Thing coming through and him being so deeply embedded as a Vertigo character for so long, that there's a good chance that we will start to see some of those same types of stories and characters seep through. But I wouldn't hold my breath for the miniseries coming through full on. If anything, if they do it, it might be a short series, like a 6-part HBO Max deal, and that's better than nothing so long as it's done well. But yeah, anything's possible at this point. We really don't know. I will say, if you look at some of these things that were announced, you can see how it's covering such a wide area that there's going to be plenty of space in between to be filled up, but there's going to be connective threads. Like, like I said, looking at Waller, like it leads me to think like, oh, there'll probably be something to do there with Creature Commandos, and there's probably something that could be done insofar as Swamp Thing and yada yada yada. Like if Booster Gold shows up and he's trying to do his like, oh, I'm gonna be a superhero because I know everything that happens. How does that work out with oh damn it, is it Argus or what the fuck is it that Waller does?
Yeah, I think it's
it's Argus.
Yeah, Argus. Yeah. Will Argus be keeping an eye on him? And how do the Lanterns play into like the dark mystery that they need to solve? Is it something that Argus is maybe also going to be kind of keeping an eye on, and
Or
so
something
on
they
and so
caused.
forth? What's that?
Or something they caused.
Or something they caused, exactly. What's the implication of a teenage alien hitting the planet when Superman's there? Like, you know, how is that going to upset the natural order of things, and see what that means for the planet with all these different superheroes like starting to pop up all over and coming from extraterrestrial places? What will the Green have to say about that? How will that affect the Red? When you introduce new living beings into an ecosystem that currently only has human beings and terrestrial animals, and now there's Martian
Kryptonians.
manhunters and Kryptonians and God knows what else popping up. How does that throw the balance off? And from there, with Green and Red, you can work your way into introducing some of those dark arts elements. So I mean, there's through lines through a lot of this stuff, and you know, we will even get like, you know, Batman doing his Gotham thing, but considering that Damian's going to be his son, that speaks to a much wider world because Raj Al Ghul is his grandfather.
Yeah.
You know, so
He
how
is.
yeah, Leo, I know that was a big
Please
fucking
don't tell me
surprise
you
to
don't
you.
know that.
Is it tied into the Fantastic Four somehow?
I will never fucking not be angry about that, Leo. I swear to God. That was
I know exactly.
I was fucking flabbergasted by you, bro. That shit just floored me. I couldn't believe it. Oh, is that what happened with the Fantastic Four origin? No, really. What? What do you mean? Is that what happened? Yeah, they fucking stole a goddamn rocket ship and went into space. Like, who would have thought that the fucking investors were correct? That's the ironic part about it, is that Reed Richards did to himself and his loved ones through hubris the same exact thing that Victor Von Doom did to himself through hubris. Reed Richards tried to warn Victor not to go ahead with what he was doing because his calculations were slightly off. And Victor, no, I'm the smartest there is. You don't fucking know better than me. And then when it went haywire the way that Reed said it would, he blamed Reed because he couldn't allow himself to think he was wrong. Reed was working on the shield on this whole rocket ship, and the shielding was subpar according to the people that were offering up the money to make it. And he said, "No, it's not. It's good. I know what I'm talking about. It's good to go." They said, "No, it's not. We're not giving you any more money. Get the fuck out of here. Put an egg in your shoe and beat it." And then he fucking grabbed a pair of goddamn wire cutters, cut the chain link fence into Cape Canaveral, and rocketed into space. And as soon as they were bombarded by cosmic rays, oh, I guess they were right. And, you know, then his friend turns into a piece of fucking orange brick. Good job, Reed.
Now
That's how
Reed.
Leo learned the origin of the Fantastic Four.
With a
Right.
very angry Brandon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I was justified in my anger. Like,
Oh, definitely.
I thought it was
shocking.
a joke. I thought it was a joke at first. You know, I was like, ha 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 ha. Wait, what?
I can just imagine your fist like this, like
Oh yeah. I've never punched a computer in the face before, but you're really pushing it. But yeah, and then certainly a first. We're gonna have the Authority as a feature.
That one is, I'm really interested to see how they're going to tie the universes together, because they've tried in the comic books and it's never really happened.
It's been clunky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Maybe it'll just be a
Authority.
completely separate thing.
I'm sorry, what?
Maybe it'll just be a completely separate thing.
I doubt it because it was
Yeah.
part and parcel of the whole announcement that was made. I think that the Authority is probably going to be, and just bear with me here, I think it's going to be a little bit more of like DCU's answer to the Avengers, and that being sort of a skewed mirror, because the Authority is like, you know, they're a bit more rough and tumble, let's say.
Yeah.
And
Take
I would
things
think,
in their own hands.
yeah, exactly. But they that should also satiate. I would think it should satiate any of the people out there who are whining and crying about certain director and actors not being part of the movies anymore, getting their fucking ultra violent fill of authoritarian superheroism. I am curious to see Jack Hawksmoor from the Authority because he's psychically and physically bonded to cities. That's how he derives his power. And it's just a very weird, interesting character. He's like experimented on by aliens, and he can like do anything. It's just all kinds of cool shit, but only in a city. He can't leave cities. One time he was teleported up to the JLA watchtower, and he almost fucking died because he was so far away from Earth and there was no city around. He was like, "Yeah, send me back now, send me back now." Like, whoop, thank God, Toledo. Which is the first time anyone said that.
What about Klinger?
The first time anyone who matters said that. Jesus.
I wanted to ask, did you guys talk about the Booster Gold at all?
A little bit. No.
We touched on it. But what did you have to say about it?
I'm kind of excited for that whole thing, just because like I think his story is kind of like intriguing to how they would pull it off. Just somebody from
well, here's the thing. Like, what part of his story do you think that they might be trying to do with Booster Gold?
Him trying to, con people into thinking that he's actually a superhero. That whole little thing. It just I want it to be as good as it sounds, I guess, or as good as his origin story sounds.
That's fair. I think first of all, I think they're gonna play a lot into social media and the internet and how everybody fucking, I shouldn't say everybody, but generally speaking, the population documents everything they fucking do online nowadays. Like TikTok and Instagram and everything. And with Skeets by his side, he'll end up being able to plug into that to see what happened on certain dates in the time he's in to help dictate what he's doing. And considering all the electronic tracking you can do with newspapers and magazines that are all online, easy enough to extrapolate the data necessary to prevent certain bad things from happening. But I think there's going to be more heart to it than that, because my feeling is it's going to start off like that. It's going to start off very much like, I'm going to make a name for myself. I'm going to basically be a superhero for hire. And we're going to get thrown that twist after a couple of episodes, like maybe 2, where we think it's going to be like that full-blown deal. And that's when we are introduced to Rip Hunter, and he tells him that that Booster Gold needs to help him fix time. And he still has to keep up the doofy, dunderheaded persona for everybody else out there, so that they think he's just like a worthless piece of shit. And then he has to go and jump in the fucking time sphere and go on whatever missions. And then you'll eventually get the cool reveal that Rip Hunter, which he was one of the linear men in DC and a well-known time traveler. Rip Hunter is not Rip Hunter's real name. He's never revealed his real name to anybody because he deals with time travel. And if somebody knows who he really is, they would travel back in time and kill him in his crib. Oh, yeah. And for the first time ever through Booster Gold after 52, we find out eventually who Rip Hunter actually is. He is Booster Gold's son.
Oh.
Booster Gold is the one who started the Time Academy in DC. As he got older, he met a woman, got married, and they had a kid, and he trained his kid at Vanishing Point, and that kid ended up becoming Rip Hunter, Time Master.
What storyline is this?
Booster Gold. The first trade is called 52 Pickup. It takes place directly after the 52 issue weekly series 52.
All right.
I'm gonna read that whole series.
I think we might need to read that for splash pages. That's kind of a really cool.
Oh, there's
I
some.
had no idea.
Oh my God, there's an amazing. I mean, there's some really great stuff. I love it because like I'm all about alternate realities and all that shit. There's one issue where Rip tries to explain to Booster that there are fixed points in time. Like there are some things that just they are supposed to happen. There's nothing you can do to change them. And the reason that comes up is because Booster is contemplating if he can go back in time and save his friend Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, from getting killed by Maxwell Lord, who at that point was the head of Checkmate, getting shot in the head. And Rip's like, you can't. He's supposed to die. Like, it's going to have to happen no matter what. So you're better off just living your life and, mourn your friend's memory. Remember him. That's how you keep him alive. And he was like, okay, fine. I won't go back and save Ted. But I bet there's stuff I can fix. And I'm going to prove to you that I could go back and save him if I wanted. So he goes back to a particular night in Gotham City, where a Hawaiian-shirted Joker shows up at Barbara Gordon's apartment door and shoots her through the stomach, hitting her spine and paralyzing her from the waist down. Booster goes back there and tries to stop it. And every single time, numerous times, he keeps going back. Something fails. His force field stops working on his suit inexplicably. Like it just shorts out. He can't use his strength. He slips on something and the Joker cracks him over the head with a crowbar. Like at one point he tried to stop, and numerous times the Joker just beat the shit out of him and left him lying 3 feet away from Barbara and still took the Polaroids.
Yeah.
But he didn't know who Booster Gold was. And it's the same Polaroids that he exposes Jim Gordon to when he's strapped naked to the amusement park ride.
I just got to write that whole thing out. Holy.
But Booster, right? He went back many times. So he had to go back. He had to heal for like months. And then he still went back again to try to stop Barbara from getting paralyzed. And at the end of that particular issue, he gets called to the Batcave by Batman, and Batman's kind of doing his usual, like, you're nothing but a useless punk, blah, 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 but I need you to do this. And Booster, he's been ordered, like, I can't tell anybody what I'm doing. He's just like, you know what, screw you, man. Like, I do a lot of shit that you don't even fucking know about. Like, I'm the fucking best, and I don't need this shit from you. I'm just gonna go do my thing. Have fun, Batsy. And Batman was like, wait, hold on. This is exactly what I wanted to see and hear. I have to show you something. And he shows him all of the Polaroids that he took from Barbara's apartment the night that she was paralyzed. And he has the ones where Booster is lying several feet away from her, broken and bloodied. And he's like, when you first showed up, I looked at these photos, and I could tell that you were younger than the man in these photos. You were younger, and you had that ridiculous high collar when you were first here. This is a much better uniform for you. What is this? And Booster like breaks down real quick. He's like, oh, Batman, you have no idea. Like, I go through and I fix time. That's my job. I have to look like an idiot to everyone. And if I don't look like an idiot to everyone, they're going to figure out that I'm actually like a good hero, and they're going to stop me, and time's going to be broken forever. And Batman's like, okay, don't tell me anymore. But Michael, know this. Whatever it is you're doing, if you need help, you tell me, and we won't tell anybody else. Your secret is safe. Now go forth and be the idiot everyone assumes you are. And it was just like, it was fucking awesome. It was just so cool, because like Batman knew the whole fucking time that Booster tried to prevent this tragic thing in Barbara's life, and he still was just like waiting for him to grow up. He's like, how is this fucking idiot in these photos? I don't get it. And when that reveal comes, it completely switches Booster's mentality for what he does for the rest of the series. I highly recommend
Like
checking it out, especially that they're going to be doing a television series based on the character now.
I'm on it.
Have you? I will say actually, before you read Booster Gold, read 52.
52.
52. Yeah, it's 52 issues. It was one issue a week for an entire year. DC.
Oh, I
fucking-
remember that. Yeah, right before they dropped the new 52. Well, not
Well,
right
not right
before,
before,
but like,
but it was 52. But there's a character that shows up in it called Supernova, and nobody knows who he is. It's a pretty big deal, and you go directly from 52 to Booster Gold. The very first trade, the collection of stories, is called 52 Pickup, and it starts right off from where Booster was at the end of that maxi series. I highly recommend both of them.
and now back to James Gunn's
And now,
announcement.
yeah, so that's, I mean, we pretty much just like, I mean, Batman Brave and the Bold is probably the one we didn't really talk about too much.
Yeah, we kind of danced on it, but yeah.
Yeah, we a little bit. Yeah.
I think it's cool that Damian's going to be given, an entrance into the DCU. I
I'm
like,
kind of shocked at how many people are fans of Damien. I thought I was alone in this Damien world, and everybody's coming out of the woodwork now.
I'm a big fan of Damian. I've said that for a long time, and
Yeah.
I mean, maybe my words don't carry as much weight because I'm not like the biggest Batman diehard or anything like that. But I think it makes sense, especially to have an even deeper connection between Batman and Robin.
I think it'll be a great way to especially being Batman's real son, like
Yeah.
to show this like strife inside the family, and where he's trying to get through to Damien, and like it'll be some like heart-wrenching kind of stuff, I think.
Yeah,
Even if they bring in the Al Ghul's and everything.
well, I think they would have to. They would have to
Yeah.
involve at least Talia.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting too because we've never seen Bat Dad in anything.
Exactly.
And I don't mean that in a goofy way. I think for a character examination, it's an interesting point to see because Bruce lost his father. He lost both of his parents at such a young age. And now he's coming and having to serve as the father for this kid who he wasn't there for almost the same amount of time, up to the point where he was with his parents. So it's like a bit of an obverse situation. And he's, like you said, he has to undo a lot of the sociopathy
Yeah.
like that the League of Assassins has like drilled into this kid. And I don't think they're gonna skim over the fact that there were other Robins before Damian.
No.
I think that the legacy of Dick, and maybe Tim too, is going to, without malicious intent from Batman, like not purposefully, but for Damian himself, he's going to see it as competition. Their legacies are going to be hanging over his head as Robin. So he's a little kid who is as deadly as any assassin out there, and he feels like he has something to prove. But the thing he needs to prove is that he won't fucking kill people.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting to me. Like Batman, he'd be like, "Oh, that kid's such a little badass," and on the other hand, he'd be like, "I think he might be a little too
It's
badass."
a little fucking out there.
Yeah.
Reel it in.
And I think it'd be great to have Damien around if they do bring Cassandra Cain into it somehow, because a little bit of a Batman's kid and this other kid who orphan. I mean, her name says it all. She is also the child of assassins, so I would really like to see if they make a connection just as friends. You know what I mean, like the kindred spirit kind of thing. And she might actually be able to help Damien adjust a little bit more, because nobody else would have any idea what it's like to go through the things he's going through except her. But what the fuck do I know?
Quite a bit.
I'm just the guy who
listened to you
talks
for
about this shit for
days.
free. I don't. Yeah, but I'm really excited altogether. You know, I make no bones about the fact that Superman is my all-time favorite character. I think it's
Wait, he is?
He most certainly is. And I think James Gunn's making the right move by having it be like kind of a year 2, year 3 kind of scenario for Superman.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Lex Luthor be the villain.
No.
I want to punch every person who says Lobo should be the villain in their fucking mouth.
Yes, we're gonna introduce
Brainiac?
Lobo.
Brainiac would be ideal. Well, one of the ideal ones.
Parasite, I think, would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say Parasite would be pretty cool. Or my feeling would actually be Metallo,
Oh, Metallo would be great.
because you know everything that, for the most part in movies, what we've seen for villains is Lex Luthor and General Zod. I like the idea that, especially with some of the stuff we've seen, Argus, and especially with Waller, they want some measure of control. Well, what do you do if there's a guy like that flying around? Well, you trying to make your own, and it ends up being this dude John Corbin. And what do they end up powering with? Powering with the one thing they know can kill that superpowered alien. I think it starts off with the best of intentions, and then you have a chance to go like very Murphy RoboCop with it.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think John Corbin should be a little bit more of a sympathetic character, and he ends up blaming Superman for what happened to him, not because Superman was directly involved, but because the people who did it to him used Superman as an excuse to do what they did.
Holy shit, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I have ideas, man.
You should contact James Gunn.
I've tried. He won't fucking respond. Also, I have to say, it blew my mind seeing him on the video the other day, because I have not dyed my beard in like a month.
Dude, I thought the same thing. That dude is great.
And I looked at him and I was just like, you fucker. Like, I'm going to go on the goddamn show tomorrow night and with the hat on. I mean, like, so there's a fucking Irish guy with blue eyes talking about Superman and all kinds of DC shit. And like, here I am. I'm like, oh, DC, burr, 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 burr. Here's what I think. And these are story points that I would attack. And this is the character development I'd like. And it's like, I just look like I'm fucking fat James Gunn right now. It's not a good look for me. I don't enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I think that Metallo would be a really interesting dichotomy. You have your Man of Steel, and then you have your Steel Man, and it's just like the lengths that humans will go to bring themselves up to the somewhere near the power level that Superman is naturally, and how dangerous the thought processes that develop such a thing are. And you can even have that dovetail at the end of it by having it be a clandestine project funded by LexCorp. And you just have Lex Luthor be a fucking, a shadow puppet master for a good amount of time. You could have him show up on television screens, have him just be
I think he should be definitely in the background.
But I don't want him a fucking character in the forefront for at least a movie, at least the first one.
Now the passion that you're speaking about, the ideas that you would go through with the upcoming movie, like it's mind-blowing right now. Just me thinking about what you're implying and who would come before like Metallo when it came to like his origin story.
I mean, I think that if you have Viola Davis, then that's
I meant
part
it
of
like
the Brandon verse.
No. Go ahead.
Like, I meant it more like, where did Lex, like, who, how did Superman affect like Lex Luthor and stuff like that? To where he
Well,
would
you can
create
do that. You can do that. Much in the same way that I was saying, like Lex would be in the background. You can
Yeah, that's
have.
what I meant. Like,
Yeah,
If
you
you
can have
ever
like
show him just have like him be a talking head and like talking about like why you shouldn't trust Superman, but don't
There's
tell
like
who
a
it is.
yeah,
Just
like
have
a
a twist.
GBS prime time or Dateline special kind of thing. You know, like you see like clips of it, and it's just like Lex Luthor, like from humble beginnings comes, you know, the fucking genius billionaire, blah 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 blah. You know, some of the same kind of shit that people were spouting off about certain musky individuals for a good long time until we realized he was a complete fucking dickhead. And when I say dickhead, I mean moron. Um, but that's the thing is Lex Luthor could easily come across like that. But then in that, I think that's a good move to make him seem kind of like ineffectual for the most part. And then you have the reveal at the end of it be that he was actually behind the entire project. And that sets him up to be a bigger character moving forward in like the next movie or what have you. But it would start off looking very much, I think, like the U.S. government / Argus are the bad guys, with Waller not necessarily overseeing, but having full knowledge of the project. And from there, they, you know, John Corbin makes his way out, and he, like I said, he blames Superman in the throes of this tragedy that his life has become. Sort of play on the same thing that was done with Hank Henshaw in the comic books, where you know his origin is actually very much the Fantastic Four. That's exactly what it was. But when he dies, Superman did everything he could to help him. But when he finally like shuffles the mortal coil and can only, you know, inhabit machinery, his brain gets warped and he blames Superman for the accident that changed him and killed his wife and best friends. You know, Corbin could easily go that route as Metallo. And then in the second movie, have Parasite be the villain.
Mm.
And you can still have it be that you could have it be he's just like some kind of schmuck that, just kind of siphons off of people in day-to-day life, and he just works as like a piece of shit custodian at LexCorp. And an accident befalls him, and you find out like, oh, it was orchestrated. And like I said, you want Lex Luthor to be, dance puppets, dance, and get to a big reveal of him as the villain, like a showdown. Like I said, I don't want that right off the bat. I don't think we need that. We know that Lex Luthor is the bad guy. Let's play with that.
That's a really great idea. Like to keep him back, even for like the first, what are they calling this chapter?
Yeah, exactly. Have him just be in the background, a background player, and have someone with real presence, not just gravitas, but charisma.
Yeah, even
Lex
have
Luthor,
him throughout like the rest of the universe through, running for president or something like that. Like,
I think that Lex Luthor should be a relatively fit. I'm not saying super jacked like they eventually made him, but like a relatively fit, somebody who has the money to keep himself healthy,
Gene Hackman.
Handsome dude, like a what's that? What'd you say?
Gene Hackman.
Yeah, Gene Hackman. He'll come out of retirement at 93 for this, for sure.
At first I was like Bryan Cranston.
Oh,
he's too old though. And
yeah, 10 to 15 years ago, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah. And like the first person that says Billy Zane needs to get the fucking taste sucked out of their fucking mouth.
Billy Zane.
I mean,
what year is this? 1992.
Well, listen, people still say the same shit over and over again. That's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
Listen, you personally, my pick for a few years for Lex Luthor has been Taye Diggs.
Oh wow.
I actually think Taye Diggs would be an amazing Lex Luthor, because
talk
that
about
dude,
built.
But my only thing with Taye Diggs is like, I'd be worried that he couldn't pull off the malevolent part of it without seeming campy. That's my real big issue with that. But like, I honestly don't know. I don't know who it should be. I really don't. I just know that whomever it is, they should be, a decently fit, charismatic, somewhat handsome guy, someone who the public sees and he evokes feelings of like trust from them.
You know,
And
I think they could go with for Luther, and you already know he can play intense very well. Channing Tatum.
can we kick Steve off this, or
Have you ever seen Foxcatcher?
I have seen
No.
Foxcatcher, yeah.
I never took Channing Tatum as a serious actor until I saw that movie.
Can I say to you, I actually think Channing Tatum would play a better Booster Gold than Lex Luthor.
Fuck
And
you,
I-
you're right.
And I mean that in a very nice way. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Okay, got
he-
it.
I think he would be an excellent Booster Gold, an excellent Michael John Carter. Lex Luthor, somebody
Definitely
who
has the charisma.
should,
Yep.
but he should have that. I don't want to say commanding voice, but a commanding presence overall. Think Clancy Brown from like 1988. You need somebody who can do that convincingly. I have faith in James Gunn and his ability to help whomever's going to direct this if it's not him, and figure out who the cast is going to be. But whomever it is, they have to be in it for the long haul and understand that their story arc is going to be pieced together and weaved through a movie or two before it's the full on blam. Oh shit, this guy's bad news all fucking day. He's the Team Rocket to Superman's Pokemon.
I'm 100% for everything that's moving forward. So
Yeah, me too. Me too. There's not a part of this that I'm uninterested in and
No.
not excited about.
I made a post in my comic group today just saying, "Why are you making us wait, James Gunn?" And so many people took me serious.
Oh my god!
I was like,
Some people are legitimately
was
saying that
tongue-in-cheek.
too.
Yeah, it was just like, look, I know it takes time to make movies. I really do.
We want it now.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that people are really scratching their heads over too is Jason Momoa a couple of weeks ago came out of a meeting with
Oh yeah.
James Gunn, Peter Safran, and David Zaslav, and he was super excited. And people were like, "Oh my god, that means Lobo!" And I was like, "Or you could just fucking not make weird ass assumptions based on a dude's excitement. Why don't you calm the fucking calm your tits?"
Could
And
just been nice to see friends.
and it's exactly. Yeah, like I was just happy because I haven't seen these guys in a while. We had a great lunch. They ordered Sparrows. I haven't had their pizza in forever. It's been so long since I've been inside of a mall.
There was an Orange Julius too.
I'm good friends with the heiress from that company, Pizzerina Sparrow. It's from 30 Rock. But yeah, I think likely the reason why he was so excited, and once again, I'm just trying to apply as much logic as I can to make the inference. I think he was excited because they told him, "You are Aquaman. Like, we're not getting rid of your character, the work you've done, what James Wan has done. We want you to continue on." And they've said, like, "Oh, Aquaman 3 is likely going to happen." Aquaman was the only $1 billion plus movie out of the previous DC movies. So why would they get rid of him? Likely, they said to him, "We want you to remain in the fold as Arthur Curry / Aquaman. The plans are to move forward after part 2 to make a part 3 and maybe just round it off as a trilogy. And we want to make you a producer for that movie, as well as any of these projects that you might be interested in. And one of them may well be Lobo down the line, but I don't think that Jason Momoa is going to play Lobo. I think he would be a producer on it because he's talked about that project and character for a long time. So why not have a guy who's passionate about it be one of the people helping to like develop it?"
I don't even see Lobo coming into the
I could
universe
give two shits
for
less
a
about
long
Lobo.
time. For a long time.
I've said it before.
People have this great love for him. Don't get me wrong. I have his first appearance hanging on my wall and like all that stuff. But like
Hashtag Brandonverse. Put it out there, Carrie.
yeah, the Brandon verse. Oh God.
Oh
we'll
no.
have Brandon nights.
Ooh, that's nice.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Can we get it
like
without Pac-Man? Oh yes.
That
Oh my God, Leo, get that off the screen. I can only get so erect.
1996 all over again.
No, that other one. Go back.
I'll keep that down at the corner of our videos from now on.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Lobo's not going to be introduced to the universe for at least another. Definitely not in the first chapter.
Lobo is a character that, and I've said it before. Lobo is a character that was created as a fucking joke. He was a commentary on all those fucking tough guy characters at the late '80s, early '90s.
You're not going to have a huge story around him.
No, because he's a fucking one-dimensional character.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a Zarina. What is he from? Zarina?
I don't even know how they say it, but yeah.
Zarinian. Yeah. For my high school
Look
project,
at my
high
space
school science
dolphins.
project, I fragged the whole planet, gave myself an A. Like, cool, man.
All right.
Whatever.
I have the.
Why did I just think Andrew Dice Clay?
The box? Oh wow.
Little boy Blue. He needed the money.
Oh.
Oh.
Lois and Clark went up the hill.
With a buck and a quarter.
Lois came down with $2.50. Oh.
Oh, fuck.
Hickory
Little Miss
dickory
Muffet sat
dock.
on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and said, "Hey, bitch, what's in the bowl?" Oh.
Oh, yes.
Oh, jeez.
That
Such
guy
nice
made a
Jewish boy
comeback.
from Queens.
That guy made a comeback.
He made a comeback.
Oh yeah. You didn't know Andrew Dice? He had a whole reality show and everything.
Just
Oh.
like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
I mean,
She had on the video. I'm pretty sure it was like
I think you broke Yo-Yo.
on her back. Yo-Yo got it right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
I got that.
You can call me Ray, but you can call me Ray J. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandy's brother. I'm so glad that Yo-Yo just like picked. I'm so glad you picked right up on that, dude. Oh shit. But yeah, Lobo. If he never shows up in any of these movies, that'd be fine by me. I think there's a lot of other characters that are more deserving.
I think keep him in animation. It doesn't need a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really care if he's an animation. You know, I think he's just a
great side character to have pop up once in a while. But
the most interesting for me that Lobo has ever been is when he was in the comics just a few years ago in Justice League of America, and that was the Batman Justice League of America. You know, he had Vixen as like sort of the leader for them, and several other sort of lower tiered heroes, and it was basically just Batman and the Outsiders, but called Justice League of America. And Lobo was there, I think, because Batman had implanted a bomb in the back of his skull, much like Waller does. And he was like, "Listen, I know that you'll come back from whatever I do to you, but that doesn't mean I won't make it hurt as much as possible. So you're gonna do what I tell you to do, as long as I tell you to do it." And Lobo's like, fine, fuck it. I guess I'll hang around. I got nothing better to do anyway. And that was pretty much that. And it was like the most I ever liked him because he was forced to interact and stay around a group of people. So he had to develop as a personality. But otherwise, I don't really give a flying fuck how much he loves space dolphins. I really don't.
Great for a t-shirt.
Fucking A. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that we've heard so far, and as it's been stated, this is a portion of
Yeah,
what
it's
they have planned out. So there's there's a lot to look forward to. I think DC slash comic book movie fans have a lot to eat over the next several weeks. Where we got full bellies, and we're going to be riding that sugar high for a little bit. Um, we have Shazam, then the Flash. We'll see what the Flash, what that has wrought insofar as storytelling and what the end result of that is. And then we shoot ahead to Aquaman at the end of the year, and it's boom, next all the projects that are branding new to the whole DCU.
Yep.
And
Well,
it's gonna
I
be
mean,
gonna be a banner year.
So essentially, the whole new DCU starts off with the Flash.
Essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the reset. And I think people need to understand, like, they keep saying, like, oh well, they can always eventually do Flashpoint later on. Like, this is Flashpoint.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Welcome.
glad that they didn't call it Flashpoint, because a lot of people, that was like the case for a while. But I like that they've taken certain elements from it and they've incorporated it into the theatrical movie. Because it does make sense. Like, if a kid who lost his mom like that and his father is incarcerated and he all of a sudden has the ability to travel back in time and possibly prevent that, why wouldn't he try?
Yeah.
I mean, why the fuck not? Marty McFly improved his life by going back in time and having his dad punch out his mother's would-be rapist.
Yeah.
Let's see what Barry Allen can do. And we'll see what the end result is with Ezra Miller and what they're doing with what kind of headway they make with their own recovery and actually following through with the mental health needs that they have.
Well said.
It's difficult to, especially, I can't speak for everybody out there, but I'm sure any number of us have had people that we care about, whether with their friends or relatives, that may have mental health issues. And some of those things can be fleeting. They can be clinical, which is a short period of time, essentially, and therapy and maybe some medication may help them get back to where they need to be, and they learn the tools that they need to be able to cope. And then other times it's not and that's not quick. That's like a couple of years, and other times it's an ongoing thing, much like any other issue that one has to deal with. It's a day-to-day thing, one day at a time. I don't think behavior that is harmful to others is necessarily excused by mental health issues, but they are explained by them. And there is a world of difference there. And a lot of times I can speak from experience, having dealt with individuals that I know. The people who are dealing with such issues are not aware sometimes that what they're doing is as bad as it is. They may think that they're being like a dickhead or a badass. They don't understand the full on, like, outpouring of just vitriol and abuse that they are emanating. And that comes from horribly dark places, their own experiences, the way their own mind works. And thankfully, it seems in this case, somebody was able to get through to them, to Ezra Miller, and say to them, listen, you have to look at what you're doing. Do you see why this is a problem? You can't force anybody to get help. People need to realize that they need help. That's the only way it works, whether we're talking about mental health, depression, bipolar, dissociative disorders, or alcoholism, drug abuse. People can only get help if they want to get help. And I really hope that Ezra Miller, that they wanted to get help, that they saw, they had it put in front of them, everything they did, and it was laid out like, Why do you know why this is bad? Do you know why this needs? What can we do to keep this from happening? What do you think the best thing is? That's honestly one of the better ways to approach it. Hopefully that works. I don't think that they should be free from repercussions.
No, but I
Um,
do want them to get help.
but I do want them to get help, and I want there to be honest amends made to the best of their ability. And it looks so far like that may be the path that they're going down. So fingers crossed. And I'm not saying that as somebody who wants to see them continue as the Flash. I'm not saying that as a movie and comic book nerd. I'm saying that as a human being. Just if they're never the Flash again, whatever. I still genuinely and generally hope that they get the help they need and they continue on getting it. They work on the stuff that needs working on. That's all. We'll see how that pans out. And if push comes to shove, the benefit of the Flash and the multiverse is you could reasonably have somebody else step in and play the character at some point. You know?
For sure. Yeah. And that being said, like there the whole thing, like I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like them ending this Flash movie, that it, like, even though it is a Flashpoint, like it could be he changed whatever he tried to change back after, changing it, could be the reason why there's a different Superman and a different Batman and all this
Oh yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
They're gonna do it that way, and I think.
Well, my hope too is that with them looking for an all-encompassing viewpoint for the DCU, where we can take like a top side, a bird's eye view, and just see how it's all connected at some point. There's likely going to be a point where they are going to be at least tempted to introduce the characters from the Justice Society of America.
Yeah.
And I actually talked about this on our upcoming episode of Comics Paradox, but I really hope that they do, if they do include the Justice Society, that they have it be a group that was around in the 30s, 40s, 50s, that worked in a clandestine manner. They still wore garish costumes and stuff, but they did it as a way to make any stories that anyone told about seeing them do the things they do completely outlandish. Like, oh, right, sure. You saw a guy in a gold yellow helmet with a golden cape flying around, muttering to himself with magic words, and stuff started floating. Okay, Bill, have another, you fucking lush. Because Superman, his debut, should be the impetus for what the DC superhero world is. It should be a big deal that Superman is who he is. If you have characters like that who have existed in the past that the public was wildly aware of, when Superman shows up, it holds no weight because people won't necessarily be in awe. They'll just be like, "Oh, that guy's like a floating version of fucking Hour Man, whatever." Yeah, I've seen that shit before. I've seen the old newsreels. Get out of here. That's not going to cut any mustard. But if you have them be like sort of a precursor to Argus, boom, tie it directly into what it is that Waller does, and this, that, and the other thing. I think there's lots of potential to play around with the history of DC and have it all be cohesive and connected.
Hell yeah, I'm into it.
I should start writing this shit down, apparently.
I am writing it all. We're going places, Brandon, I'll tell you.
Get in, nerd. We're going nerding. Well, so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that. I'm sorry if I kind of steamrolled talking about some of the stuff. What the fuck am I looking at?
What is that?
Is that Speed Racer? Speed, haha.
It's Speed Racer-ish.
Speed Racer-ish?
Yeah.
It's a legally distinct version.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
There goes a racer. He's a speed guy on wheels. He's not the
It's very
copyrighted character
fast.
that you're thinking of now.
See, I have a service that has like t-shirt designs that are legally able to be used.
Well, glad that you're showing them on the fucking show right now. Good thing they're legally able to be used.
I mean, it's
for those of us who are only listening out there, wink. Holy shit. So anyway, you guys have anything else you want to add? I could keep going. You don't want that.
I got nothing.
I think we covered all of the yeah.
I clearly have very solid ideas just based off of a day of thinking of them, and I'm excited.
Your ideas are make
from
me
there.
more excited than my ideas. My ideas, I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Your ideas, I'm like, all right, I gotta get better
ideas.
Yeah, what the hell? Why didn't I think of Hera being the freaking villain?
It's just it's what I do, you know. Like I have a friend who is a filmmaker, and he always comes at me with, I want to do this, but I need to figure out why or what this. And I'm like, okay, I will put it in my ADHD subroutine, and I'll get back to you as soon as it pops up as finished. And I've literally done that to him numerous times. Like back when I used to have to drive into the office for work, I would call him, which he hates. He hates phone calls, which I get. Like, text me, you know. Like I'm this close to making my voicemail message like, hey, you've reached Brandon. You could take the time to leave me a message, but I think you should just sit here and spend the time thinking about why you should probably just send me a text instead until you hear the beep. You know? But I've called him up legitimately driving, and I'm like, I think I cracked it. And he's like, holy shit, that's great. Do me a favor. Don't tell anybody that you came up with that. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good with being your unofficial fucking script doctor. That works for me. And I know I drive him up a wall too, because then he'll like actually do stuff, which is really good. But I'm like, oh, that's great. You know what would have made it even better though? No, Brandon, what? This. Fuck, you're right. Oh well. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should talk to me before you film it. Just saying. Not saying anything, just saying. Yeah, this is what I do. I think about story stuff all the time. I just don't get a chance to talk about it and speculate like this.
When you came on our episode, I made a perfect analogy. I said, people with ADHD are calculators, but they don't do math.
It's true. It's true. Although I've been told that I'm like, I don't think I'm particularly good at math, especially because I went to Catholic school for 8 years, and I worked at Home Depot for a couple of years when I went back to college. And I worked in the flooring department. I had to calculate carpeting for people all the time. And the people that I worked with, they'd be like, Brandon, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, this. And they, wow, you're so good at math. And I'm like, have you fucking met anybody who does math before? Because I am not good. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, but you just know all this. I'm like, I can tell you everything up to 12 times 12 because it was drilled into my fucking head. That's about it. But most rooms are 12 by 12. So it worked out. Yeah, but I absolutely, yeah, I totally just like, I always call it the terror dome, but instead of it being, 2 in, 1 out, it's 2 thoughts enter. 5,362 thoughts try to leave. ADH me.
I feel that so hard.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yes.
That one's for free too.
Hey, that'd make a good shirt. ADH me. You got me on a shirt kick. I'm sorry.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Go ahead and make it.
Focus on the show, Leo.
I know.
We're here.
ADH me cannot focus.
That's the problem when I get like a creative idea. Like I gotta get it out, otherwise it's gonna.
I hear you.
Bonkers. Yeah.
That's why I get yelled at for talking over people all the time. I'm working on it though. I'm getting better.
I'm getting better.
It makes me forget everything I want to say, but I'm getting better.
That's fair. But yeah, so there's lots of cool stuff, and we still have more to hear and learn. So
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is that however they execute the stories that they come up with, I'm excited to see them. And if they're not the same way that I have thought about them so far, that's fine too, because I can separate like the way I would approach a story versus like expectation from somebody else. Like I am well aware that we all have different ideas about things. And I think a lot of us fans out there need to remember that. It's okay to have anticipation and speculation, but manage your expectations because not everybody has the same thought process as you. And you also have to remember they need to do a lot of work to bring in general audiences who do not have the history of comic book stories, lore, and characters logged into the back of their skulls. You're Neo in the Matrix plugging in and you know all this shit, but other people need stuff the space is filled out. And
Hmm.
if they don't do that, if they just jump right in and assume like, oh well, people know who this is. No, don't ever fucking assume that about the stories you're either watching or making. You can never do that, and that's not saying like, oh, you just think everyone's stupid. No, it's not assuming that the audience is a bunch of fucking dummy McDummersons. It's assuming that at least, let's say, half the people watching have never picked up a comic book in their life. They know cartoons. They know a movie that came out in 1978 or 1989. And you need to incorporate all of those different experiences into how you present that. And we need to be mindful that these stories are not just for us. They are for the people next to us. And when it comes to somebody like Henry
Not
Cavill,
literally Jar Jar.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like,
the call's coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Everybody, especially with some of these characters who've been around for a long time, like Superman or Batman, you know what? Every generation or so, like they've had their version of that character. And Henry Cavill was never given the chance to be as great as he could have been. And that is solely on Zack Snyder's shoulders. If anyone is to be blamed, it is him. But the next generation of kids coming up, they deserve to have
their own.
And I think it's
that's
more
where
important.
Most people get lost in this.
Yeah, I think it's more important that a 12-year-old girl or boy watches Superman.
How does it survive without them?
And they are inspired and see the hope that the character evokes and really fall in love with the character because the core tenets of them are represented so thoroughly, then having to force these same kids in 2025 to have to jump back 10, 20, 50 years to find a Superman or a Batman. That's not fair. I had Christopher Reeve, Gerard Christopher, Dean Cain as a kid growing up. I had three. And I had no problem with any of them while I was watching them and understood that they were all slightly different. But I will say, not once did I see any one of them prevent themselves from helping people that were in peril and then snapping fucking necks.
Very true.
Not once.
Fuck yeah.
Oh shit, 4 because fucking Tom Welling.
Oh yeah,
Smallville. I was like just 18 when that show started, man. Fucking end of my childhood. Jesus Christ, that was fucking so long ago.
It's okay, Brandon.
Like I keep catching myself fucking white beard here, and I'm like, I'm so old. My fucking local stores, they must be repackaging, rebranding the Just for Men beard dye. It's fucking nowhere. It was nowhere to be found. My wife managed to get some last night, and I was gonna dye my beard tonight, and because I got caught on the fucking phone between, I don't want to say the name of the phone company,
Does it
but
rhyme with Horizon?
no, it's a telephone manufacturing company, a cell phone
Oh.
manufacturing company. They're not the apple of my eye, but they are different enough from Apple that you could say
Oh,
they are not,
Delilah's friend.
they are not the same
Hey there,
song.
Delilah.
They are not the same song. So yeah, I spent 4.5 hours on the phone with them after I clocked out of work, between them and another entity, going back and forth, and it was like a fucking feedback loop. like oh, you need to call TD. Oh, you need to call Samsung. You need to call I'm like, somebody fucking do something, because I'm gonna drive to wherever your fucking headquarters are and just fucking blow the motherfucking door off. I swear.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, and I literally
Deeply.
I figured out the issue to my quandary on my own within 2 minutes after getting off the last phone call, and at that point it was 8:43, and I needed to get ready for this show. I had no time to actually think about any of the stuff that I was going to say consciously. The entire time I was turning beet red and trying not to swear at somebody in Pakistan. Happy
Now I wanna
fucking
know what
Wednesday,
happened.
everybody. All right, so I went to go pre-order the S23 Ultra, okay? And I wanted to get the 1 terabyte fucking memory option, so I had to get the unlocked phone, and it's fucking costly. But
Yes, it is.
I wanted to do the financing, which is 0% APR. And I went to do it, and they're like, "Oh, you need to call TD Bank to finalize your application." I'm like, "I never even fucking filled out an application. What the fuck are you people babbling about?" And I spoke to them, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have anything in our system. You have to speak to the people at Samsung." And I was like, "Oh, Samsung? Hey, they said that blah blah blah." And they're like, "We don't do anything with that. You have to speak to TD." And I was like, "What?" But okay, I guess I'll talk to them. And they transferred me themselves. And somebody finally gets on the phone. And they're like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" I'm like, "They said this," and they're like, "No, them." And I was like,
No.
"Sure, if you fucking say so." And I go back and I was like, "Okay, listen to me. I do not need you to fucking make my cart for me. I already know the goddamn item I'm getting. I've listed it all. It's in there. It's in my cart on my account. I just need you guys to do whatever the fuck it is you do to reset that shit so I can actually fill out the application they're saying I need to finish, because it's never even been started." And they were like, "Oh, well, let me do this for you, sir." And they literally emptied my cart and re-fucking built it. And then they were like, "Okay, now click on this." And I was like, "That is the credit card section of the payment method. And no, I want the fucking finance option." And they were like, "Oh, well, you have to." And I was like, "If you tell me to fucking call TD Bank, I swear to God, I'm going to get on the first fucking flight to South Asia. I swear to Christ." And that's exactly what they did. And I fucking blew a gasket. Not at them. I was just like, "Thanks for fucking nothing." And I hung up the phone and I called TD. And then one more time I went back to Samsung, and yeah, nothing doing. And finally I was like, "Fuck this shit." So I started a new account. I got the fucking approval like that. And then I went back to my actual account that I had $150 credit on and punched in my shit, and they were like, "Okay, cool. Your application's applied now." And I was like, "What?" It was fucking 4.5 hours of my life. I have to account for that time when I die. Like, St. Peter is going to be up at the fucking gate like, "Oh, yeah, no, looks good. Oh, buddy.
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours between TD and Samsung, huh? That's that's purgatory at least, Mel. We'll see you in a short amount of time. Could be an hour, could be a million years. Time doesn't matter up here, so deuces. And he just pulls a lever.
Ah! But wait.
Sound like Wile E. Coyote fucking going off the cliff. Yeah, so I fucking jumped off, fucking ran into the bathroom, gave myself a fucking military shower, shaved under the neck so you wouldn't hear me fucking scratching whenever I moved my head, because I noticed that like 3 weeks ago at 5 o'clock shadow, and it was like, And
Yeah, I had to start shaving my neck too.
took one fucking bite of my sub that I ordered at 4:30 this afternoon, and then I was like, oh, it's fine, it's a small piece, I'll fucking eat it during the fucking beginning portion of the show. And then Leo's like, hey, it's a minute long opening because we need new music and blah blah. I'm like, oh cool, that's information that would have been useful to me 7 fucking minutes ago. Phenomenal.
Sorry.
That's all right, buddy, you didn't know, it's not your fault. It's not. Wait,
Oh, hold on, you
It
did
is
know.
are you Harjinder from Samsung?
I'm a
Hello,
ginger.
Brandon.
Son of a well,
From Sam.
I am a ginger, not Harjinder, but sure.
Let me tell you
Yes.
about the song I sang with Sam.
It's not a different song, it's the same song. But I don't want to say what airplane I had a problem with, but let's just say it was on an American airline. And sometimes they go Southwest.
Oh, jeez.
Holy
Anyway.
shit! It's night.
Yeah,
Sure,
we
what?
should wrap things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to open the bank tomorrow.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up so we can get some sleep. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. For me, just Google Leo Palm, but more importantly, check out these awesome dudes. I run the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got a ton of shows on the network. There's a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. I do some other shows with Brandon, including the Dork Night and Comics Paradox. He'll tell you more about those, and also Splash Pages every Tuesday. And yeah, a lot of fun stuff. And let's bring it to the McMonster.
Hey, Steve, Nerds of Unusual Origin. You can find us everywhere. I think it's NOUO Podcast. Go to NOUO Podcast and you follow all the links. Check that shit out. You will love it.
Yes, you will. Yo.
Yo Saint Laurent. I can speak English. Yo Saint Laurent on Instagram. It's pretty much all I'm doing right now.
What happened to the other one? What was-
Oh, Be Real. I'm still on that. It's just no one's really on that.
Yeah.
You can find me on there if you want to. But I mean,
Good fucking luck to you.
Jar Jar.
Hey, you can join myself, Drew Malo, Leo Pond, Velvet Joker every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for Splash Pages. It's a place, good time, whether we're reading comics or shooting the shit or getting interviewed or sorry, not getting interviewed, interviewing people. But every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook. Come check us out.
Ooh. Powerful Brandon, take us out.
Hey there, guys and gals. I'm Powerful Brandon. If you don't know who I am, you clearly didn't watch this entire fucking episode because I fucking just didn't stop talking. But if you want to check out more of my insane ramblings and rants, feel free to follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @ThisBrandonHasPowers and Twitter at Brandon's Powers. You can also come on over to Facebook and check out the Powers Combined group. We're just a group of dorks and nerds that like to get together and share memes, news, info, good times, and laughs to be had by all. Our number one rule there is don't be a jerk. If you violate that, you will be booted immediately. You can also come on over and check out a couple of those podcasts that Leo had mentioned that we work on. Leo, myself, and our good friend Justin Cooper. They are the Dork Night, which we discuss and dissect all things Batman, and Comics Paradox, which the three of us discuss DC Elseworlds, Marvel What Ifs, and all other types of different storylines, story arcs that cover alternate realities based on the characters and stories that we already know and love. You can also check out the social media we have for that on Instagram, Comics Paradox Podcast, and on Twitter at comics_podcast, and that's comics with an Comics Paradox. Sorry, comics_paradox. COMIX is how it's spelled. And you can find those every other Sunday. They alternate each week, and about 8 a.m. they usually drop, and that's wherever fine podcasts are broadcast.
Awesome. With that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
it's